What up, world? What up? We got people in the building. Cooper's on the move right now. How you doing today on this Hump Day Wednesday, Coop?
My daughter is about to get braces and she's getting her hair braided right now. She told me she would be ready. Look, the hairstylist told me 4:30. My daughter told me 5. You see what time it is. I'm still outside.
Hey, it happens, man. You know what I'm saying? We got people
Every single time.
every single time. Well, like I said, Coop is on the move. We got a little bit of new music today. When did that Static Selector record come out? That has Inspector, Ghostface, Method Man, and Raekwon on it.
I don't know. Let me look that up right now while I'm actually.
Well, it's fire.
I told you it was fire. You heard it, right?
I heard it. I listened to it like 3 or 4 times. What do the people in the room think about it? But yeah, that record's crazy, man. They, like you said, they sound good, man.
They sound prime.
They sound really, really good. And this is from somebody who was just listening to Pete Rock's The Game this morning. For the people who don't know, the Pete Rock record that has Prodigy, Ghostface, and Ray. That was what, 98? And I was thinking to myself when I heard the song this morning, I was like, and you may disagree with me on this, and this is prime Prodigy. He sounds great. But when I hear Ghostface's verse on The Game, I'm like, he's the best rapper on this song. But saying all that to say, and that's a conversation for another day, that whole notion like carried out through the day, and then I hear this record, I'm like, these guys sound great. Now, Ray has always sounded great. I think Inspector, for me, was the one that kind of just cuts through. Like, Inspector sounds like it's 1999.
So I kind of want to start right there with the track. I think, first of all, I'm like you. I listened to the song about 4, 5, 6 times, Mike. And my first takeaway was like, I hope you understand. I hope people understand that literally just on this one record are some of the greatest MCs that ever walked this earth.
Yeah.
Like on this record, and this record is evidence of it. Inspector, that kind of went through a time. It's around the Purple Tape 2 time, where vocally he didn't sound the same anymore, Mike.
Yeah.
And I don't know what he's done vocally to get back into the time machine, but he's done it well. He is their song starter, Mike. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He's the Wu-Tang Klansman song starter, and he hellified the way he started this off like he usually is.
He's the Ricky Henderson of the Klan.
He is. He's Ricky Henderson. I was trying to think of a great leadoff man, but yeah, that would be, yes, he's Ricky Henderson. And Ricky Henderson's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Ricky Henderson ain't no regular baseball player.
No, not by any stretch of the imagination.
Not by any stretch of the imagination, right. Then you go to Ghost. When I hear Ghost verse, Mike, I'm like, this verse is evidence. First of all, I don't agree with you at all with that whole The Game thing. First of all, because some of the verses from The Game are on one. And I just don't believe a prime Ghostface is better than a prime Prodigy, but overall Ghostface is better. When we
hold on. You said some of the verses on The Game are on what?
On one.
No. What one?
One on Supreme Clientele, Castor Troy laying for Travolta?
Yeah, it's just one bar. He just repeated it. That's it. Oh, come on. That's not a whole freaking verse. You can't say something twice? Like,
no, not when Prodigy. Not when Prodigy's on the record. No, you can't.
Oh, he has a better verse than Prodigy on The Game, straight up.
No, he doesn't, Mike.
He
but
does.
I think that's just your personal Ghostface taste. That might be my personal Prodigy taste. Here's what
I want to get to the Prodigy thing too, because we're gonna go over our MC list. I think we might have Prodigy too high. I think, and we love Prodigy. Rest in peace. But I think you rate Prodigy on a curve. We may be overstating some of the things for Prodigy when it comes to everybody else.
Well, I told you we can put everybody back through the ringer as we like, because I want it to be filtered properly. So as we build out, I want to put people back in the ringer. So if you want to put Prodigy back in, that's fine. But here's what I'm saying right quick with that Game verse, Mike. Mm-hmm. That Game verse, like, you love that verse. Nobody else talks about Ghost in that verse like that. That verse super overrated, Mike. And to be honest with you, I thought the verse on this record's better than his verse on The Game, if you really want to know the truth, Mike.
It's
like, the
not.
verse I just heard him spit better than the verse on The Game.
Nah,
Like,
man.
you talk about The Game like Mike, you're the only person that talks about Ghost's verse on there like that. It's not like that, Mike.
It's like that. You remember when he went in
not.
the basement with Tigger? That was
It's
the
not.
verse that Tigger asked about. That verse was crazy. Am I tripping in the chat, guys? Jordan,
It's just a dope verse. It's
shout
a
out to
dope
Jordan
verse.
House. Jordan House says Coop is hating.
I'm not. It's just, and this was what I was about to say. That Ghost verse makes you realize why he's the most accomplished as far as like the bar work overall in the clan. Because here's what he is: he's entertaining, he's insightful, he's funny, he's got great punchlines, he's animated. Like, you know, the only thing about Ghost that you can really say about him in relationship to his clan contemporaries is that he doesn't have Ray or Meth's voice. But when I heard Ghost, I'm like, he's the best MC on this record, like top to bottom, in the totality of it. Ray is the glue guy. And Mike, as usual, here come Meth sewing shit up, Mike. And he's just got, when I heard him slide in on this record, I'm like, you know, it's between him and Big for who has the best delivery ever. That's exactly what I thought, because even his flow, and for everything that I'm waxing about these other guys, like delivery-wise, and I'm saying this respectfully, well, Ray, Ghost, and Deck not in Meth's league delivery-wise, because very few people have ever walked this earth, have ever has been. This verse is more evident of not only how silky his delivery is, Mike, but we need to stop making it seem like Jay is the only one who's epic with these double entendres and these literary devices. Because Method Man, and I keep telling y'all, Method Man does it at the same level Jay does. He just doesn't personalize it. He keeps it on some rap shit. So he's not going to say, the phase I'm on, love, I wouldn't believe it. He's not going to say that. He's going to keep it on some rap shit. And him keeping it on some rap shit doesn't put Jay like above him because Jay personalizes. Meth is just as good at the literary devices with the entendres as Jay-Z. Quote that, print that, tell motherfuckers I said it.
I think Method Man's word placement I've always been a huge fan of. You know, things like, you know, The Last Temptation, I'm the son of David Ruffin and shit like that. You know, but I think
that's the same stuff Jay gets lauded for, Mike.
I agree, but you know, I think with Jay it's more about the full body of work. I think that if in the 90s when Meth was making his biggest impact as an individual, if he had a solo display of that matched up with his peers, I think we would be talking different. I always say, I haven't said this in a long time, I think that Method Man needed an album in 1996. Now I understand, you know, with the Clan's order, they had a lot of people to get out, and they were still rolling out their first round of solo albums in 96. But Method Man not dropping in 96 and going from 94 to 98 without a solo effort, I think really kind of tripped him up in the lexicon of his peers.
Well, I mean, respectfully, did RZA's like supply run dry? Because Ghost has talked about not liking Iron Man, Mike, because he didn't feel like he had the same level of beats to pick from Iron Man that GZA had for Liquid Swords and that him and Ray had for the Purple Tape. And you could even argue, like, just on some rap shit, you could argue that like, the top-end beats on Tikal and Return to the 36 Changers, the top-end beats are better than the top-end beats on Iron Man. That's a fair argument.
And you know what? And I think that's a good transition into what I do want to talk about this record is Static Selector and his consistency. And I think that also, I mean, I heard Busta Rhymes say one time, you know, he was responding to people who wanted the old Busta Rhymes back. And his response was, the beats ain't the same as what they used to be type of thing. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's a fair assessment. But I will say this. When somebody comes with production like Static Selector did, you see how the artist delivered. And so I got to give Static Selector props on his consistency as a producer and him, you know, blessing the Clan with a track like this. And this is what we get. Static Selector is hella consistent.
It's heat. No. This some heat.
Yeah.
This some bona fide heat. This some modern day heat.
Like this would be one of those records that I'll play for somebody that's, probably 20 years younger than us, that knows who Wu-Tang Clan is, but doesn't really know because they weren't there, this is a record that you can feed them and be like, this is why I like these guys more than I like your guys. What say you? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's one of those things that if you wanted to make a get off my lawn case, it's a get off my lawn type of record. It's like, see, this is why I like these guys. Are your guys going to be rapping like this in 25 years, 30 years?
I mean, are they rapping like this now? Are they rapping like this now? Nobody in the chat, by the way, agrees with your assessment that Prodigy had the better verse than Ghost on the Game. Ghost went crazy on the game, man. MC Ultra. For the people who are watching this right now, go look up Pete Rock's The Game and tell me what verse is the best on that song. Ghost is clearly the best rapper on that song.
He's not, Mike. It's not like that. I'm sorry.
People in the chat disagree with you. I'll say that. I think you have this thing for Prodigy where it's like, when you hear Prodigy, it's just over everything.
No, it's not even that, Mike. It's the fact that almost every verse on Iron Man in the Purple Tape is better than that verse. That's what it is. It's not even a Prodigy thing. It's a Ghost thing. It's like literally his verse on Ice Water is better than that verse. The verse on Glacier the Ice better than that verse. Criminology. You want me to keep?
I don't think it is. I disagree with you.
That verse ain't like that.
I disagree with you 100%.
Mike, got 25 verses better than that verse.
I think you need to go back and listen to the verse.
I listen to that song all the time, Mike. It's one of the few classic joints on that Pete Rock album. It's not like that. I don't care what people say. I didn't get here by listening to what everybody else said either. No, y'all are wrong. Go listen to Ghost on the Purple Tape. Go listen to the Purple Tape and go listen to Iron Man, and then tell me that verse is on par with that shit. Get out of here.
So you're telling me when it comes to this hip hop shit, you've never been wrong?
No, I didn't say I've never been wrong. I'm just saying I'm not wrong about this. I've been listening to that verse since I was in high school. I never thought it was it's a dope verse from Ghost. It's like whoop-de-whoop. He's Ghostface Killer. It's supposed to be a dope verse, Mike.
So you think Lose Yourself's a top 50 hip-hop song all time?
I still do. I still do believe that, Mike.
After it got waxed?
That, not me.
After it got waxed by Grinding, no.
Mike, you're the only one that doesn't believe Lose Yourself is a top 50 record.
Am I?
Ask the chat. No, Mike. The same way the chat agreed with you about Ghost, ask them if they think Lose Yourself is a top 50 record.
Sure. I want to tell the people out there that, that probably missed the Patreon. We did a dope Patreon concept this past Monday. Basically, we had the songs that were on my list that didn't make Coop's list go against the songs that were on Coop's list that didn't make my list. So when Coop played Lose Yourself, you were very confident when you played it. You were telling me how great of a record it was, yada, yada, yada. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to hit it with something that wasn't on your list that comes from that same time period, actually the same year. And I played Clip's Grinding. And the people voted Grinding 90-something% over Lose Yourself. It was a blowout. I don't think that a record that is a straight-up top 50 song all time gets blown out by Grinding, which, respectfully, I think Grinding's probably at the top of that top 50, maybe in the 40s or something.
Mike, with all due respect, how can you say that when I blew some of your records out the same way, but you're not talking about those records?
You did. You know what? You want me to go through it? I can go through some of those.
I do, because you're talking Mike, because you're talking like Lose Yourself is the only one that got waxed.
Now, it was kind of lopsided on, a lot of ends. Hold on 1 second. Let me pull that up. I mean, I don't want to call out, UGK, but yeah, they got waxed too. The one that I didn't really agree with totally was the fact that, and I get Boys in the Hood, Eazy-E, it's a classic, and it probably should have been on my list, but I just think Push It is more important, Now, which song would I listen to? Boys in the Hood. But I think Push It is more important. So let me go through it real quick. And then we're going to get to this this Nas thing. We'll, finish talking about the Wu record too. So it was round one. I played Eric B. as president, and Coop played Nobody Beats the Biz. Eric B. as president won that. Let me make sure we ain't missing any super chats while I'm over here on a whole nother screen. Haven't seen any super chats yet. I don't know if they got... Oh, Finally, right when I say something, right? 36 Chambers with the super chat says, Mike, you had Knuck If You Buck in your top 50. Out here talking about Lose Yourself. Stop it. Lose Yourself is M's only real hip hop contribution in 40 to 50 years. Well, you know what? The reason why I had a record like Knuck If You Buck, Cooper, you there? You kind of went out on the camera.
I'm happy. I'm here.
Oh,
Give me
okay,
one
cool,
second.
cool. All right. Well, the reason why I had a record like Knuck If You Buck on, on the list is because I kind of wanted to represent all time periods, all subgenres in hip hop, and all levels of impact that records had. And not everything's gonna be boom bapish, not everything's gonna be rapidy rap stuff, and not everything's gonna represent one or two veins of hip hop. So my Knuck If You Buck pick was based on its contribution to crunk slash trap music as a subgenre. And even if you look at some of these trap karaoke's and all of that, that's the anthem that they all know. I mean, the song was just in what was that? That movie that what was it? Something Jesus or whatnot. It was kind of a parody or whatever. But yeah, I mean, Knuck If You Buck is, regardless if you like it or not, and I'm not a huge fan of the record, but I can't deny its impact as a record. And it's from a group that really didn't have, much after that. So it's like, it's not like the record was successful because of who they were. And I feel like Lose Yourself is successful because of who made it. That's just it. But anyway, let me get to that little list, right? So I played Eric B. as President, and Coop played Nobody Beats the Biz. That was 90% to 10%, 91% to 9% actually. This one was interesting. I played Amelie, and you played High. Amelie is losing to High. High is winning, 64% to 36%. I want to talk about that because that's something, I get it. Maybe both of them need to be in there, but I would love to ask, Birdman, Slim, or whoever, like, which record do they feel deserves it? They'll probably say both.
Mike, ain't no Cash Money without High.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I think they both should be in there because, once again, it's like,
I don't.
I'm looking at what Amelie did for a generation after it. Like, Amelie is actually Ameli's that moment in hip hop that I feel that Wayne became a rap superstar. Where it like the whole mixtape buzz and everything that was happening from the Carter 1 to the Carter 2, it all culminated into this record. Now, granted, Lollipop is a successful record, but I don't think Lollipop is what puts, Wayne in people's top 5. You know what I mean? It's records like 6 Foot 7 and Amelie, and it starts with Amelie, and that's why I say the record's important. That's just me.
I do think that it's important. I don't think it's top 50 important. I think High is easy, so I don't want to downgrade the importance of Amelie because here's how I feel. It can be all of those things that you said and still not be top 50.
I'm fair with that. And you know what? That's probably how I feel about Lose Yourself. And I can agree with that.
Right. That's fair. And there are people that feel that way. It's just like my rationale. It's like, did I have a good rationale for stuff like Push It or Grind It not making my top 50? Not totally, because if it makes yours, that's okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and also, I think High's the better song. Let me be on the record to say that.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not, that's not even close. To me.
That's a joke.
And then I played Hip Hop Parade, and you played Lottie Dottie. Hip Hop Parade beating Lottie Dottie 91% to 9%. Would you reconsider Hip Hop Parade being in that top 50 after you heard it through the speakers?
I love how Hip Hop Hooray sounds. I think KG as a producer probably doesn't get enough credit, including from us. What I will tell you is that I was mortified. I was mortified that Lottie Dottie lost the way that it lost. That is ridiculous. And it's one of those things that let me know. It's like, oh, that song really is old. And even people from our era are like going to pick the song from their era over Lottie Dottie. It's Lottie Dottie, Mike. It's literally the most sampled rap song of all time. I don't care. This is that stuff where I be telling you, it's like, no, I don't care what people say. Hip Hop Hooray is not better than Lottie Dottie. I don't think Hip Hop Hooray is better than OPP. So if I were to put a Naughty by Nature song in, it would be OPP over Hip Hop Hooray. It's definitely a better song in my opinion.
Well, I like OPP more than I like Hip Hop Hooray, but I think Hip Hop Hooray is probably the better fit for a list like this. It's literally a hip hop anthem. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just an anthem. It's an anthem dedicated to hip hop with shout outs and everything included.
No, and I tend to like when hip hop songs become anthems that we didn't plan on being anthems.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
They clearly planned this one, but they executed perfectly. You got to respect that.
No, it's hard to make a hit record. So the fact that they planned the record and then executed at the level that they did, oh no, I'm not trying to take anything away from Trenton, Benny, and KG.
Yeah, and it's a follow-up to a monstrous record like OPP.
Yeah, no.
That's hard work.
Shout out to them. Yeah.
All right, the next one, I played Just a Friend by Biz Markie, and I just knew I was going to win this one. And then you played Pass Me By The Pharcyde. Pass Me By is beating Just a Friend 82% to 18%. I'm surprised, but I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that.
I think it's a better song, Mike.
It is a better song. I'm not going to front. Yeah. And I think Just a Friend is an incredible song. But you're right. Pass Me By is a better song. Now, this is where Push It got beat down. Boys in the Hood beat Push It 76% to 24%. And see, my thing here is, and we talk about this on this podcast a lot, are the women being disrespected here? Because if Push It can't make the top 50 hip-hop songs of all time, like really, what deserves to be in there? It's probably the single most important record to female hip-hop, period.
I'll tell you this. I do think Push It probably should have made my top 50. And for somebody that has complained about the uncomfortable spaces that women in this business are placed in perpetually, generation after generation, you would think that I would have songs by women in my top 50. But that's also one of the things that makes me unbiased about stuff, Mike. It's like I can feel that way and feel totally comfortable not putting a woman's feeling force about putting a woman's song in the top 50 because I'm very, very clear about what my stance and what my rhetoric about the picture as a whole is. And having, if I do or if I don't have a female song in my top 50, it really doesn't change my stance. It doesn't, because I've been on my stance pretty hard, pretty long. And quite frankly, I'm the only podcaster in hip-hop space right now that's a man that I see talking about the misogyny and the uncomfortable spaces for women. And that's kind of a separate conversation than a top 50 song list. You feel me?
But it's like, would you agree that Salt-N-Pepa is kind of the female Run DMC, right? Would you agree that Push It is kind of the sucker MCs for female MC, except for it's a bigger record? I don't even really know what to even compare it to.
I'll give you this. I'll tell you this. If I made a mistake, I'll tell you what, I would feel more comfortable putting Push It on than Sucker MCs. I think Push It's a better record.
Sucker MCs is a game changer. Now Push It got more legs, definitely.
No. I like Push It more as a record than Sucker MCs. Like me personally, it's not my personal list. Okay. I personally, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's like I tried to weigh things out, like, and maybe I overthought it in a way, but I tried to weigh things out, like quality of song, impact, and the impact that it had, the generation that it had impact to as well. You know what I mean? Because clearly a record that's in 88 is going to have overall impact that you just can't move. But I didn't want to punish records that came out in like 2002 or even 2015 for the impact that they've been able to have on the culture. You know what I mean?
No. I totally understand. Like, and this is what I mean. It's not like UNITY was on a list that I was editing.
Yeah.
Ladies First was on that list. No Time by Lil' Kim was on my list. Push It by Salt-N-Pepa was on my list. Supersonic by JJ Fad was on my list. Mike, it's not just the women that didn't make the cut.
Oh, yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
No,
Right.
no, I agree.
So it's like, and also too, we're making this list to kind of fuse them together. That's why it's like, no, I'm cool with putting Push It on the list. You know, it's flexible. I'm flexible.
It's an important record. I mean, it's not like putting, I'm not trying to be funny. It's not like putting Funkdafied on there, which is an important record as well. But, and that's the first female in hip hop to go platinum. That's an important record. But I don't know, Push It just seems.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it just seems too. Yeah, it's a little different, and that's just bigging up how big Push It is.
You want to know what? Push It is a cultural moment too. Women dressed up like Salt and Pepper for like Halloween, like for years after Push It came out. Like by the time we were going and doing Halloween, they were still dressing up like Salt and Pepper from Push It. So like
Salt and Pepper has a look, like you know what I mean. Like you got you know what I mean. It has like a whole costume with it. What I was gonna say though,
can I tell you what? Like, and this is what I mean about it being in my consciousness. Like, Mike, I didn't put Push It on my list, but so much was I thinking about them. We're about to record our cipher soon, Mike. I got a Salt and Pepper bar in my verse that I wrote. Like they're on my mind. Right.
Yeah, it is.
Like they're on my mind. Like that's what I'm saying. Is just like, oh, just because they don't make the song list don't mean that like there's anything different about the space of the stance that I'm taking. What
I was gonna say though, you said something about No Time with Lil' Kim. Initially, I had No Time because No Time is my favorite Lil' Kim song. But then I thought, like, you know what? It feels like Crush on You is the one that's had the most cultural impact, though. I mean, you see people redoing the video. You know what I mean? Like the hook. Like, and as far as getting played, I feel like Crush on You gets played way more. Like you'll hear Crush on You tonight.
It's the way the beat drops. Both of the beat drops are epic, but Crush on You has one of the more notable beat drops for its era. That
she got the quotables on there too.
She got no.
750 Deluxe. Like
No. That's not fair to her quotable game. There's quotables all over her whole time period.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like from about 95 to about 99, damn near half the shit she spit quotable.
If you play both records in a room full of people, which record of people are gonna start rapping her verse?
I think that depends on what room you're in. I think if you're like. That's what I'm saying. I think if that depends on the circle that you run in. If you're just talking about that stadium flow and just like a random group of people, it's Crush on You. The people who know, it's No Time though.
Mama, Miss Vanna. You see, rock the Prada, sometimes Gabbana. Sticky for your cream and your riches. Sounds like a boy. Demi Moore, Prince Diana, and all them riches. Yeah, she got quotables,
Puff Daddy,
man.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Puff Daddy, pump the Hummer for the summer.
Yeah.
I follow. In the E-class with the goggles.
96 model. Bad chick on the stroll.
Tell them how we roll. Cruise control.
I think hardcore, in my opinion, if we're rating the best hip-hop albums of all time, we're doing a list, top 100 or whatever. The first female rap album that's going to get on that list is Hardcore. Straight up.
It's a better rap album than most dudes make. What are you talking about?
I think. Where do you think it will fall, though? Album. I still think it falls in maybe like the 70s or something. Maybe. That's just off the top of my head. Somewhere between 35 and 55 on my list. Think
probably.
So? Okay.
How about this? That's an album that would probably be in my top 50. No, Hardcore would be a top 50 album for me, probably. Just like off, just like running it down. Yeah, right. I would put Hardcore in there.
Okay, and then you play Lose Yourself, and then I play Grinding. The result of that is what, 91% to 9%. Then you play Let Me See It, and I play Back That
Mike.
Ass Up.
Mike, I have to be fair and tell you that one vote for Lose Yourself, that was me. It was a landslide.
Oh, I knew it. You didn't have to tell me at all. I was like, because it happened so quick. When I played it, Lose Yourself got a vote, and I was like, that's got to be cool. That's got to be cool. Ain't nobody voting. After you hear those drums on Grinding, ain't nobody voting for Lose Yourself. Come on. I knew. You didn't even have to tell me.
Okay. Just, it's good not to lie. It's just, it's good when you tell the truth.
The truth will set you free. Then you play Let Me See It, and I play Back That Ass Up. So it was 95% to 5%. Back that
That was
ass
a
up.
great play. That was a great play by you. That was a great play.
I appreciate it. This one was interesting though. You played Get Low, which has a hella impact, and I kind of understated the impact, and I was somewhat in the room back then. 76% to I Don't Likes 24%. Maybe I should have played Nuck If You Buck, but I think Get Low would have beaten that too. But you know, I think it's fair, but I just know that I Don't Like just kind of created a whole subgenre. But maybe that subgenre is not as important in hip hop, not important enough to propel that song to that status. I don't know. Is drill music that important to hip hop? I guess is what I'm saying.
I was never that super big on Don't Like, even though I understood its place and its space. But I was surprised at how easily Get Low beat Don't Like. If you want to know the truth, I was expecting it to be more 60-40-ish. And so that's one of those things where it's like, oh, well, that really didn't hold with the people, you know?
Somebody said Lose Yourselves being played on every London station every day. Well, that's cool.
That's that worldwide impact. That's that worldwide impact.
Okay. Jay Short with the super chat says, isn't Trina or Nan kind of the birth of female rappers we see now? That's a good one. Trick Daddy and Trina, Nan nigga might be something. Not saying it's a classic song. He said not saying it's a classic song, but impactful, I think. It is impactful. I will say that. I don't know if it's top 50, maybe 100 though. Then you play Funky Enough by the DOC. And then I came with Regulate by Warren G. That Regulate's winning 95% to 5%. Are you surprised at all of that? Yeah, I know. That was one that you really had high hopes for. You didn't think I had anything in the cannon for that one.
So sad.
It is. Regulate's a great record.
I'm gonna say less. See, this is what I mean. Is like, I know what Regulate is. I don't think it's better than Funky Enough, but I'm
not mad at you.
But I get it though. Like I get it. It's Regulate. It's like a quadruple platinum single.
Save Def Jam.
It might. Right, Save Def Jam might have been the song of the year it came out. Like I get it, but when I hear Funky Enough come on, I hear it's like, man, that guy was going to be one of the 10 greatest MCs of all time, and here's your evidence.
Funky Enough's a tough record. I don't think it should have been that lopsided, but I think that's just attributed to how much Regulate means to people. But Funky Enough's an incredible record. If you played them both side by side, I didn't know the performance of either, I may go towards Funky Enough.
No, I get you. Like, people love, even when Regulate, I'm consistent, Mike. I always loved Regulate, but never the way everybody else did. I was always that way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to speak my piece with the, kind of like how I am with If I Ruled the World.
I like this DJ as much as I like Regulate. You know what I'm saying? Remember this DJ, single?
I love this DJ, personally.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This DJ is the shit to me the same way Regulate is. It's just like I don't have Regulate like where everybody else has it. You know what I mean? It just be like that sometimes. Yeah.
Then you play Hard Knock Life. And I couldn't wait to do this. I played The Choice Is Yours by Black Sheep. The Choice Is Yours is winning 75% to 25%.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I mean, it's an anthem. It's it is what it is.
It's hard to beat.
It's hard to beat. Then I play Bombs Over Bad Dad. You play Get At Me Dog. Get At Me Dog is beating Bombs Over Bad Dad 74% to 26%. When you played that, though, and I heard them back to back, that's why the Patreon is so dope to do. I'm like, I'm going to lose. Even though I know on paper, Bombs Over Bad Dad to me is a better song, but playing them side by side, yeah, that's a tough sell.
That's like what I Snoop Dogged you. What Snoop did to DMX, I did to you with the DMX record, The Bombs Over Baghdad. It's like, you think you're winning that till I play this shit.
Yeah, because it's a little different when the nigga comes in. What must I go through to show you this shit is real? And I ain't really never gave a fuck how niggas feel.
It's only record that I had to match the energy.
Yeah.
that Bombs Over Baghdad had. I was like, no. I was like, we got to play that right now. Because I wanted to play Get At Me Dog in one of my last 5 records.
I thought
So
this
you kinda
part
made me
wasn't
play
fair.
that.
I played All Right by Kendrick Lamar, and you played The World Is Yours by Nas. The World Is Yours on 91% to 9%. Now, I don't think that's fair.
I was doing that to be petty, Mike. I was doing that to
I
be
don't
petty.
think that's fair. I mean, I feel like, although The World Is Yours is the better song, yes, to me.
I was just
But
doing it to
does
make sure that it lost. I was like, okay. I was like, I'm gonna make sure this song loses. I was like, Mike not gonna pull up on Wednesday talking about how All Right won something. All Right won't be winning anything.
You was after All Right like I was after Lose Yourself.
I was like, that's going down.
I mean, this is my thing
I
about All Right. Like, Kendrick, as impactful as he seems to be, and I say seems to be because it's debatable for some people. You got certain major publications that put him number 2 all time, and you got people who think that he's overrated out there, right? As impactful as he is clearly to this generation and just overall, what does it say that he doesn't have a top 50 hip hop song? And I mean, and I'm gonna bring this song up again for the same reasons that people would say Lose Yourself is top 50. We can't make that same argument for All Right and what it has meant in its time. It's the Black Lives Matter anthem. I'm trying to get Kendrick in there, guys.
Hold on, you mean the criminals and the thieves that stole from their own people? Is that what it's saying?
Well, I'm not talking about the actual organization. I'm talking about just the movement of people who, have never been the young people's protest anthem. Let me just say it like that.
The young people's protest.
Yeah. The young people that took to the streets.
Problematic.
The young people that took to the streets to combat police brutality in the best way that they knew how. This was their anthem, was it not?
That's why Black Lives Matter stole money. They knew they could get away with it with soft anthems like this. Where is Fight the Power when you need it?
Pharrell on the beat, Kendrick spitting. The hook is, infectious. No? What do you people out there think? Y'all think it's top 50?
It's not a top 50 record.
Okay. Then I played Bad and Bougie, and you played Gin and Juice, and just squash that notion. That really wasn't fair to Bad and Bougie, but okay.
That was fun. That was fun. That was funny. I was like, oh yeah. I was like, you want to know what a banger sounds like? This is what a banger sounds like in my day.
Right.
Click.
Then I played
Yeah,
Niggas in
great.
Paris, and you played If I Ruled the World. If I Ruled the World is winning 62% to 38%. We're about to get to that new Nas new Hit Boy record featuring Nas, but I've never been a big fan of If I Ruled the World. I understand what it means to Nas's career. My pick was more so Made You Look to be top 50, but I get it. Like you said, I get it.
Yeah, I get it.
Kind of like how you feel about Regulate. It's kind of how I feel about If I Ruled the World.
Okay, I can dig that.
Yeah.
I can dig that. No, I dig that.
The
It's like,
impact
I
is
like
what
the
it
record.
is. Huh?
Yeah, it is what it is. It's like when you look at somebody's estate and you realize that is like the main brick that built the estate. You know what I'm saying?
I slightly
Brick is important.
disagree. I still think, I know that, as far as the numbers go and sales go, I still think that foundation that he had with Illmatic is the solid foundation that builds everything. But you're right, you still need it If I Ruled the World. Because you can't do Illmatic twice.
No, you can't.
It's not even if he tried to do Illmatic twice, and with the lyricism from It Was Written, and you and I both agree that he's a better rapper on It Was Written, even though Illmatic's a better album. Even if he did that over, it still wouldn't have been received the same way. Because people are just trained to go with the first thing they heard anyway. He could have put out the same album, and people would have been like, I don't know, man. I like Illmatic more. Where's New York State of Mind?
If you really want to know the truth, Illmatic and It Was Written are not that different outside of the singles, Mike.
No, they're not. And I think the biggest difference for me, there's a couple of songs that could have been cut. Whereas on Illmatic, nothing really. I mean, you could say One Time for Your Mind if you want to be nitpicky, but One Time for Your Mind is a jam. It is what it is.
See, this is what I mean. When Watch Them Niggas and Black Girl Lost and Nas Is Coming are the songs that are on the cutting room floor, you have a classic.
I never was a big fan of Nas Is Coming, though.
It's called a classic. But, I mean, here's what I'm saying. All It Was Written is like, you know, Illmatic is the kid from the Project Window. You know he has to go downstairs and go outside, right?
Mm-hmm.
It Was Written is when he goes outside, Mike. Like, he leaves the bridge.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it just makes sense. And it's similar to what Biggie did and Biggie did this after Nas, Life After Death. It's like, I'm not ready to die anymore. This is life after death.
Right. There's no Life's a Bitch on It Was Written. There better not be.
Yeah.
You're not in the bridge anymore.
Yeah.
You don't have to. There is no The World Is Yours anymore. You don't have to speak it into fruition. You just spoke it into fruition.
You're here.
You're here. There is no more memory lane. You just left the block.
L Boogs
Every verse is memory lane now.
Facts.
Make Illmatic again. How?
Yeah, you can't. It's impossible. L Boogs with the super chat says, love Monday's Patreon show. It's great when I can catch it live. Really enjoyed the back and forth with the tracks. Lots of jokes. Yeah, we say a lot of stuff on the Patreon that we don't say here. I mean, you know, still keeping it real here. We just, you know, we know everybody's watching. Okay, let's see. So then I played Made You Look because I wanted to, you know, enforce my point of what I think a top 50 Nas record of all time is. And then you played I Seen a Man Die. Made You Look won 86% to 14%. I really hate beating Scarface with that record. I think that's one of the most incredible records ever in hip hop. And see, I understand why you're picking that record because that's a record that's where the quality of the record supersedes all the other shit. Because nobody else can really make that record.
See, okay, so here's the problem. And so this is what I mean. It's all about how styles make fights. Once again, it's like I chose records like I Seen a Man Die and Get At Me Dog over songs like Push It or Grind It.
Yeah. I chose a lot of anthems.
What I mean.
I did.
Yeah. And that's all. It's like, I Seen a Man Die didn't make your list. Now, Mike, you know that just if we just talking, lining it up, you know I Seen a Man Die is better than most of the songs on your list and on my list, don't you?
It's better than Hot in Here, but Hot in Here has the performance, you know, and...
Right.
But well, again, I mean, I think that's what's interesting about, you know...
This is what I mean. No, like, I Seen a Man Die is better than If I Rule the World. It's better than Ha. You know what I'm saying? No, it's better than those records. Yeah, it is.
Ha.
It's better than Ha. I Seen a Man Die is a better record than Ha.
I'm with that. I don't want to say that so quickly because Ha is pretty incredible, pretty creative.
No, Ha's more important.
Yeah.
It's great. It is not fucking Prime Face on the Diary. Like, nobody in the South believes that.
He greets his father with his hands out.
Outside of New Orleans, ain't nobody...
Nah, I Seen a Man Die is crazy. I mean, that video is chilling, man. Like, nobody else can make that record. Period. No. Then you played The Show, and you were very confident, thought you were going to win that when I played Summertime. Summertime won 90% to 10%.
I lost.
You played Dead Presidents too. Trying to get Jay-Z in there. I got to give you that. Jay-Z had 2 records on yours that you were trying to get in there. Then I played Still DRE, which is technically from a pen game. That's Jay-Z's record too. Still DRE won 75% to 25%. Are you surprised by that? Because I know you said Still DRE is not a top 50 hip-hop record.
I don't agree. But apparently people feel that way. I just was never, like... I remember where I was when Still DRE came back. And I guess I didn't even really realize what it had grown into until, like, you started talking about it. I'm like, oh, everybody feel that way about it?
I love that record. I loved it when it came out. But it was one of those songs that it was a welcome back type of record. But the record that really got 2001 going, if memory serves me right, was the next episode, and Forgot About Dre. That's the one. And Explosive, just on the radio. We would hear Explosive, even though they didn't really put a video out for it or anything. But still, DRE was kind of like, yeah, Snoop and Dre are back together, and then you got into the album. But in recent years, it's kind of replaced G Thing when it comes to Dr. Dre. Whenever he shows up somewhere, that's the record. I mean, when Snoop just showed up in Scotland, you had a man on the bagpipes playing Still DRE. It happened over time. It's funny to watch things happen over time like that.
It is. It's fascinating. It really is, because it's like one of those things I didn't realize it until you said it, Mike. You know what I'm saying?
He closed the Super Bowl with that record, I believe.
No, that's why I was asking. I was like, he played that at the Super Bowl? Because, I don't be really paying attention like that. And you was like, yeah. I was like, damn, that's big. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's when I realized how big it was. It's like, he did it at the Super Bowl? It's like, okay. It's like, and then I thought about it, Mike. It's like, now I be thinking about the records out. Like, it's like, well, it's not like he's doing D's Nuts and Explosive at the Super Bowl. It's not happening. You know what I'm saying? Mike, right. This is what I've been on a Natural Born Killers kick lately, Mike. Great that might record. Be the best record he ever did.
I feel like Dre, in recent times, he kind of steps away from the first Chronic. And I say the first Chronic because we used to call 2001 the Chronic 2001. But he steps away from the Chronic, and it's like he leans more on the 2001 records.
I think that's about relevancy and currency.
I think so, too. Okay. I'm almost done
what
here.
Do you think about? I thought about this too, Mike. Mm-hmm. What about You Better Recognize by Sam Snead?
Dope record.
You know what I'm saying?
Dope record. I don't think it's top 50, but that's a dope record. Once again, it's the man with the master plan. They call him Sam, and I think you better recognize. You play Flavor in Your Ear, and I play UNITY. UNITY won 72% to 28%. I just heard a Flavor in Your Ear story yesterday. I'm sure I'm late. I'm just now watching that Diddy reunion documentary that's on Netflix, and they was talking.
I didn't know they had one.
It was made in like 2017. It even has Kim Porter and Andre Harrell in it. It's kind of wild to even see that. But anyway, they were talking to Clive Davis, right? And Clive said when Puff got fired from Uptown and came to him and told him what he had going on with Bad Boy, the record that he played him was Flavor in Your Ear. And that was the record that got the check cut. I never knew that. And I also...
No, I knew that. I didn't know that was in the documentary, but I did know that already.
I also didn't know
Flavor
that...
in Your Ear is like that.
Yeah, it is. I also didn't know that Biggie had an album done in Uptown. I know we talk a lot about, you could tell the records that were on Ready to Die that were from the Uptown era, but he had a whole different album. I forgot what they said it was called. But Andre Harrell heard some of the wild stuff that Big was saying on the album. Was like, yeah, we can't put this out. But I think that experience also helped the growth of, us getting a Big Papa and records like that. Like, let's smooth it out a little bit. Let's keep this grimy shit, but let's actually, make it palatable.
No, like you can hear the records that got, like, The What got recorded on Bad Boy.
Yeah.
Give Me the Loot got recorded on Uptown.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Big Papa's Bad Boy.
Big Papa's Bad Boy.
Now I'm not so sure about Juicy. He sounds like Uptown Biggie there. And if Juicy was Bad Boy, it's probably the first record he did on Bad Boy.
I think the conversation was with Puff. Big wanted to drop Machine Gun Funk.
Yeah.
For the single. And Puff was like, yo, Big, we got to go get this money. And I don't know if Juicy had been made or got made because of that sentiment. But I remember seeing and hearing the stories that, like, Biggie wanted Machine Gun Funk to be the first single. And Puff was like, we can't do that and win, Playboy.
No, you got to get this money.
Let's go get this money.
Do you think that Puff was he saw the versatility in Big before Big saw the versatility in himself? Or do you think that he was just trying something and Big was able to just go with it? Like, where do you think that he got the notion that Big was this versatile from? Because he really didn't show it before.
I'm going to say this respectfully. I think the versatility and the agility came from getting Biggie out of his environment and giving him the opportunity to be versatile. So I think the best thing Puff did to kind of guide that agility and that versatility that we see, and here's really what happened. Well, the more you remove them from Bed-Stuy and his unfortunate and dire circumstances and situations, the more he starts to thrive.
Yeah.
It's why people it's why people who grew up in the hood like I did don't raise their kids in the hood. It's because you want your children to grow and to thrive. And so the best thing that he ever did was get big on those remixes, the 411 remix, the Dolly My Baby remix. No, rap to this sample.
I think that did it. You're right.
Practice.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think those remixes
That's Puff's real
definitely
contribution
did
to
it.
Big. I don't think he had to tell Big to rap, how to rap, or how to write these records. You know what I'm saying? I think he had to show him, be like, hey, you know, give me the loots, fine. You understand, you don't have to rob a motherfucker ever again, right? We can rap about some, you know what I mean?
Right.
But Mike, it's like that when you're taking somebody out the hood, Mike. It is like a lot of people, I've talked about this, and not in glowing terms, on a music side of things, what Jay did to Beans. But some of that was because Beans was real hood, and Jay was trying to show him more.
Yeah.
So that he could do more, because Beans is very, very Biggie-like with his rawness, his reality, but the versatility's there, Mike.
Yeah, I don't think Jay had his hands on Beans like Puff had his hands on Big. I think Puff
had his hands on Big like his career depended on it, because it did.
Exactly. And Jay's career depended on Jay's output as opposed to Beans' output. Somebody said B1 set the tone for Bad Boy. Do y'all still believe that song was stolen? Because my thing is, hey, where does an article like that come from? And, you know, for the people who don't know, that's referring to that Notorious Big One record where he used the Juicy sample, and it was a lot of, you know, similarities or whatnot, right? Without getting too far into it. My thing is, man, where does this story come from? And at this juncture, we're almost a year in. Why hasn't that artist said anything? And I mean, I reached out to some people. Huh?
Hold on, didn't the artist pass
away? I didn't think the artist passed away. No. I know there was a person, right? There was a person who got in our comment section when you and I talked about it and said they were like producer or engineer or something, you know what I mean, in those sessions. And I reached out like, yo, you know, you want to come in and talk to us, have an interview or something? But nobody reaches back. And look, at that point, we can't say anything. No one wants to speak for whatever reason. Whether that be
don't get fed out here in these streets, man.
I mean, we can't just romanticize a story and create our own story without people actually giving their real story. That's not journalism, right? Like, the part of journalism, it's gossip when you do it in that way. The point of journalism is to actually get to the facts, get the people that were involved, and get them to tell their story, right?
Well, you know, Mike, I think you and I are proof positive this is some of what's just happened in the past year. Sometimes journalism requires you following your instincts and your gut and your moral compass of what you know is right. And in the process of that, you'll know that you're right and that you're factual, because the behavior around other people in the same space as you will start to change. Now, look, when we pulled up, how comfortable all of these media outlets felt talking about Nas, and now look at how uncomfortable they are. That's how you know that they were lying. Yeah. Because it was so easy, and it was so easy for me, Mike. It's so easy. I hate to say it, Mike. It's so easy for me to strong arm them and just pull up on them and be like, "Well, what?" Because I know you don't have nothing, and what you do have, I want that. So put that in the bag. You know what I'm saying? What you got, I want that. Put that in the bag right quick, and don't say nothing. The next time you say something, say it right. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's really what's going on. But it's like, oh, no. People are like, that's not journalism. Yes, it is, because I worked the angle to get a response to see if motherfuckers was telling the truth, and their behavior showed you that they was all liars.
Well, there it is. Let's see. What was the other piece? Okay, I'm almost done with this. You play Players Ball, play Nuck if you buck. Now, Players Ball is winning 81%. to 19%. Not surprising there. And then all I had left was Hot in Here, and you played Method Man's I'll Be There For You. You won that 74% to 26%. You know, after hearing that record, man, you're probably right. That might be a top 50 all time. I think that, man.
But I'll Be There For You?
Uh-huh. I think me being a super Method Man fan, and especially at that time, I think I might be being too hard on Meth, man.
You are, Mike. I tell you, that's arguably a top. The way y'all talk about flawless records, hold on. This is
It
what
is
I'm
a
saying.
flawless record, yeah.
If you think it regulates better than I'll Be There For You, we're going to have to fight about that. That's what I'm saying. I'll Be There For You is closer to being a top 10 all-time record than Regulate is. It's better than... Now,
I agree with you, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'll Be There For You is beating a lot of records, Mike. Like, what box does it not check? The beat? Stop that. The
It's
flow?
game-changing.
Stop that. The star power? Stop that. The hook? What do you want? You want it to be on the charts? Oh, it's that. It's a number one song. You want it to be platinum multiple times? It's that. It's everything.
It's the reason why we call Mary J. Blige the queen of hip-hop soul. It is.
No, listen to this. And he kept his entire street cred.
Yeah.
He kept his entire street cred. He didn't use a lick of street cred by
No,
doing the
she
record.
went to the hip-hop world. And honestly, I got to give Mary a lot of credit with this, too. Mary showed R&B singers how to actually go in the hip-hop world on a hip-hop record. Not just, you know, and I think what she did was incredible with What's the 411, how she was just, you know, singing over hip-hop beats. That's one thing. But she actually went to the grimiest group and crew, and they didn't have to lighten up the song or anything for her to jump on there and fit. And she used the Tammy Terrell and Marvin Gaye set. It's incredible.
It's got everything, Mike.
Yeah.
It's got everything. It's a top. It's in my top 10. I find it to be one of the 10 greatest hip hop singles that was ever created. And the records that I have ahead of it are so monstrous, Mike. It's like Fight the Power, Dear Mama. You know what I'm saying? It's like after those two records, it's like no, they reminisce over you, Mike. After those three records, it's like no, Conversation, Cream. Nothing but a G thing. No, Mike, it's up there. It's in that stratosphere
right.
record.
You want to talk about this Hit Boy record featuring Nas, The Tide?
Of course I do. It's very wavy.
Thumbs up in
Very
the chat,
wavy.
everybody. Let everybody know that we're on live right now, man. We appreciate y'all participation. I don't know what's going on with the super chats, man. We're not getting like any. Maybe do they have like some sort of restriction going on or something? We got like a few to help. Maybe people just were listening to us and don't want to engage. I don't know. But you heard the record. You actually hit me when you heard the record. What did you think about Hit Boy's new song, The Tide, featuring Nas?
Respectfully, I really enjoy the record and what Hit Boy's doing because he's not doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, even when I reposted it, I retweeted it, I'm like, no, he's on some futuristic shit. He's not trying to make the same thing over again. And this doesn't sound like a Nas record. And those are exactly the records he needs to be doing, in my opinion. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, for him, it's like, and I've said this behind the scenes to some people, is it's like, man, stop listening to these old motherfuckers and go do some new shit with the kids. For real. Because you live out here, you hot, your bar game is up. Mike, you hear him, he can rap on anything now.
I love the energy, man. And you know,
The
and
energy is high.
it makes me think about the interview that, you know, you and that you did with Hit Boy. And, you know, you got a lot of really great insight as far as like the process and, again, the energy and just the vibe that goes on in the studio when those two guys are together. Like, they both, I mean, obviously respect each other's craft, and that's one thing. And there's a lot of talented people that get in the room and respect each other, but they actually have this thing going on where, I mean, we saw it a lot on KD3. Wherever you go, I'm going to go. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of like that whole, those are the things that make great groups. Like when we look at Big Boy and Dre and how Big Boy at one point was like, look, wherever you go, Dre, I'm going to go. You know what I'm saying? And that makes for great music, especially when you got a producer and an MC. Now, one thing I did notice when I was playing this in the car that I didn't notice when I was playing like on my laptop, Hit Boy spitting on here. And, you know, and Hit Boy is really you know, obviously you're on the record with Nas, taking the bar work serious. And, you know, his flow's in pocket, the subject matter's there. And like you said, they're on some new shit. It's not like they're trying to recreate anything. That's the impressive thing about this pairing, too. It's like once they got, once they got KD, once they got KD1 done, it's like, okay, close the chapter on to something else. Boom. Once they got KD2 done, boom, do something else. Magic, bonus, let's do something else. KD3. Everything that they're doing and have done together continues to evolve. And like you said, it's fresh.
So a few things. When I thought about the Hit Boy interview that I did too, shout out to Hit.
Shout out to Hit.
Still much love. Yeah, the interview is still circulating, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the look. But one of the things that I asked him, Mike, and it was on some rap shit because I can hear him. And you're like this too, Mike. I used to be an artist. When he raps, I hear somebody that was rapping before they were making beats, and he confirmed it. He was like, no, I started rapping when I was about 13.
Yeah,
I
heard
started making beats when I was 15.
I thought about that question you asked too when I was listening to him rap. I was like, yeah.
No, the back and forth with Nas is the evidence that he was rapping first. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
Because he has certain qualities to him when he raps. I'm like, that's not a producer rapper. That's somebody that was rapping and decided to start making beats for themselves probably because they was rapping.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can hear that on this record. Now, here's what I now realize. Because you have a producer who really at heart is a rapper, that type of person, and I know because my cousin M6 is that type of person and was to me. When that person is your producer, your shit goes up a level because they understand what you're trying to do rapper-wise. Some producers don't understand what you're trying to do as an MC because they ain't never spit no bars like that.
That's a very fair point. That's why Kanye West is so successful in taking artists where they are and elevating them. Because you're right.
I was actually about to say, Mike. Now, our top 3 producers of all time are probably Dr. Dre, the RZA, and Kanye West. Now, what do they have in common?
Right. You think Dr. Dre is a rapper first, though? I think Dr. Dre is
He's always been a DJ.
Yeah.
But how about this? He has... Easy's probably the one that pointed out to them, Tim. You know you got rapper qualities, nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Now, this is what I will say about Dre. This is what I will say about Dre. Dre has a dope rap voice. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I mean. He has rapper qualities. He has a better rap voice than most of the rappers, Mike.
He does. And I think that's what separates him from, some of the other producers that try to jump behind the mic, in front of the mic, excuse me.
Also got Snoop
That
Dogg
weren't doing that first. Yeah.
And Easy and Ice Cube.
But when he was finding his voice, I think was around 100 Miles and Running. And when Cube says, you can yell all you want, but you never come close. I think he was trying to find, how do I match this missing energy that we're missing from Ice Cube not being here? He was trying to replace Cube vocally, and Cube called him out for it. But he eventually found his voice on The Chronic, and I think he has one of the doper rap voices for a producer.
I think he has one of the doper rap voices, period.
I agree.
I was just like calling it in general.
Yeah. Mad Max of the Super Chat says, Mary's from Mount Vernon and YL. That's why she is so easy to switch. That's why it was such an easy switch. Makes sense. What were you saying?
No, just it's like having a guy like that in the studio is invaluable on this level. Because that guy, if he's rap too, he'll tell you, he'd be like, yo, you're using too many words. Take that word or that word out. Or why don't you try to flip it like that instead? Because the rapper and the producer here is taking over, but it's taking over to help you. And so now I can see some of their synergy. And that's where Hit Boy is succinctly different than all the other great producers Nas has worked with. And that's why this pairing's really working.
I think you're right. I think you're right because
he's a writer's writer and an MC's MC. What other producer has he worked with that knows about bar work like Hit do from a personal perspective of writing the bars, not a hook?
I feel like Large Professor was a rapper first. Am I wrong?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
We have to check up on that. I don't know.
But even if that is the case, I don't feel like Nas and Large Professor explored the possibilities of their partnership as an MC and producer. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they kind of got cut short, if that makes any sense. You don't think so?
No. And I say
Okay.
this respectfully. Large Professor is a producer, time-wise. He did one of the Dead or Alive for Cool G Rap.
Mm-hmm.
He finished up Let the Rhythm Hit Him,
Yep.
if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Mike, that's 90-91. If Nas goes forward with Large Professor, that's that whole Illmatic thing that's not going to work for him moving forward. So, like, respectfully, it's like, no. Like, that's what people don't understand. I keep saying this. Illmatic is not about 1994. Illmatic is a timepiece about 1986 to 1994. And when the timepiece is done, it needs to be done.
It needs to be moved on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you think it's more of a,
think about it.
you think it's kind of
He
a
didn't get
Manny
a-
Fresh Wayne thing?
Yes. Just not to the level, because Large and Nas didn't even work heavy like that. Like, how
Yeah.
about this? What work did Large really, really do for Nas after Illmatic? You know what I'm saying?
We got You're the Man. And I feel like that might have been it, because I don't think he did anything on It Was Written or I
He
Am.
didn't. When did Star Wars and On the Real come out? Ain't that Large Pro? On the Real Star
On
Wars?
the Real is Marley Marl. I wouldn't be surprised
Marley.
though if Star Wars is Large Professor. I don't know. I know
So
he came back
I
around
think
and he did Stay on Life Is Good, I believe.
Ooh, that's a banger. It's one of
Yeah.
the best songs Nas ever made. One of the best songs Nas ever made. Stay is a banger. Stay might be the best song on Life Is. Stay is my favorite song on Life Is Good, I think.
Yeah.
Stay and Cherry Wine.
I feel like though, and I understand what you're saying. I feel like that Large Professor could have grown with the sound, but Nas being who he was at that time was urgent. He probably didn't have that kind of time to experiment like that. You kind of got to go with the short shots. Biggie's out here making what he's making. You know what I mean? The West Coast is still doing what they're doing. Let's see what these Trackmasters guys have. You know, they just worked with LL on Mr. Smith. Let's see what they got.
Well, you see, and also, too, you have to understand that Illmatic production template, it made everybody think. It's like, oh, let's do that with producers that, make bigger hit
Make
records.
hits. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
But also, let's call these street guys for a record or two as well. And that's how Havoc and DJ Premier are on Life After Death right next to the Hitman. Because Big sitting up there watching, it's like, no, I'm going to do that. We're going to get a hit-making production team, and we're going to have a street production team. Shout out to Nas.
You remember like in the early 2000s where every artist that came out, they all had a beat from the Neptunes, Swiss, Timbaland. Like they was on every damn album.
It's part of the handbook.
Yeah.
It's part
And
of the
so
handbook.
and it was like
you gotta have you.
you got some of your producers you came up with, yeah, they can come along. And Kanye got added to that fold at a certain point too. Just Blaze, like everybody had damn near the same producers on every album. And that's why when people talk about the early 2000s, I guess it's nostalgic for certain people, but I didn't love the early 2000s, as a collective in hip hop because everybody had the same producers making their stuff for the most part. And so a lot of the stuff that you heard ended up sounding the same, at least the singles. And then 50 came and broke that shit up.
I'm glad he did because I was getting tired of that shit. But, here's what I'm saying is that, like, Jermaine Dupri. Like, Nas should have hooked up with JD. Like, you see how quick Biggie got the B-side? You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's the stuff that they was doing, like, immediately after they heard that. It's like, okay, because here was the thing is, it's like, oh, we can't beat him at that, so we got to play another way.
Well, I think Jermaine Dupri, and I say this respectfully, I think Jermaine Dupri and Trackmasters kind of cancel each other out. And that's why I think that's the verses we really need. We need a Jermaine Dupri and Trackmasters versus, really, if we keep it all the way 100. I think that'd be a great versus.
That's the first time I've been afraid for Jermaine Dupri in a versus.
Yeah, man, Trackmasters are being slept on heavily.
I told you, Mike, lounging, Hey Lover, and Doing It, and the I Shot Your remix. Mike, that's all on Mr. Smith. Don't nobody even talk about Mr. Smith.
Right.
They got four all-time great bangers.
People are
Mr.
running
Smith.
from Trackmasters. Listen, really, I
Mr.
think
Smith.
Puffy should have been like, yo, Trackmasters. I think
Puffy
Trackmasters would beat Puff. I'm just gonna keep it real, and I respect Puff, man, and the work that Puff has done. But in that matchup, I'm leaning more towards Trackmasters, man.
Hey, real talk, what you gonna do when the beat for Doing It drop? Brooklyn.
Well, it cancels out Juicy too, because I thought Tone and Puff made Juicy technically, or was it Puff?
Then Tone did like the drums and the keyboard for Juicy, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, drums and keyboard is Tone, if I'm not mistaken.
So that song's
if it's not
canceled
drums
out.
and keyboard, it's one of the two.
Mike H with the super chat says Hit Boy let it slip out in a recent interview that he's working on the 5th album with Nas. Thoughts?
Well, he literally said that on the interview I did with him. That's why I didn't have to ask him if they were working on stuff, because he literally told me during the interview that they were still working. I hope y'all caught that part of the interview. He's like, we still working now. I was like, oh, check, confirmation. Mike, I was like, okay, so let me scratch those KD4 questions off my list. I don't ask questions when niggas give me answers. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, so he answered my question without me asking.
Well, people just got to pay attention. You know, you don't want to be super literal out here. Yeah, people pay attention to the interview. You get it.
Well, also, too, when you're being blessed with an interview to kind of up your profile for the first time, what you don't want to be doing is asking a question that a motherfucker already answered.
Of course.
Because then it looks like you're not on top of your game as an interviewer.
Like, were you listening to me?
Did you hear me when I said that he's still coming in here and we still making records?
Do you think that's a KD4 or a Magic 2? Or do you think this Magic 2 is something that fans have made up? You think that even exists, or you think it's just a KD4?
And we're going to have the stadium flow conversation, but why would he make Magic again? Why?
Well, you know what?
That would be like making Illmatic again. And guess what happened when he tried to make Illmatic again? We did, as a U.S. fan base, we did some Illmatic type things in terms of our support or
You're
lack
right.
thereof. We did some Illmatic things in the streaming era. You can't even bootleg it. Illmatic got bootleg, Mike. You can't bootleg in the streaming era. And you still he's not making no. Mike, if he make Magic 2, I'm gonna hit the plug up and be like, hey. Tell him I said no.
Well,
please,
you know, I don't.
No.
Hold on. You know, I don't believe all of the numbers that they present out there, and you and I.
It shouldn't even be a question, though, Mike.
Yeah. You and I were covering this whole Magic thing, and the fans really put pressure on us to make sure that we went. What was that? Christmas Eve. I think I had I think I had like the Omicron or something. I don't know. I got found negative, but whatever. Anyway, we got to this microphone. We had a show about it, and we were wild. It was album of the year actually for us that year, and the people made sure that we put it in 2001 and didn't put it in 2022. I'm sorry, 2021 and didn't put it in 2022. But with that being said, we also noticed there was zero media coverage on this album. And it was like, why? You know what I mean? And that's not on the fans right there. You know what I'm saying? It's like, for whatever reason, they tried to act like Magic just never happened. I don't know if it's because the output, he dropped the incredible album with KD2 and Magic in the same year, and people would have to explain how he's not the greatest ever. I don't know. Maybe that was part of it, but the fact that Magic didn't get that coverage, I agree with you. Don't repeat and make Magic 2. We'd rather have KD4, I guess, because KD4 can continue on that evolving thing that they're clearly working on. But if you do Magic 2, people are gonna expect Magic over again. You know what I mean?
No. Let's stop all that. Like, real talk. We don't need any more evidence that Nas knows how to rhyme his ass off.
Oh no, we don't.
We don't that's why we don't need Magic 2. It's like, if we were to take everything out of it, let's just break it down to some fundamental, simple things. and I'm going to say this again so people understand. We don't need no proof that Nas can rap his ass off. We have Illmatic. It was written. We have Life is Good. We have this KD series. We have Magic. We have Godson. We have Stillmatic. No. He don't need to make another rapping ass rap album. Mike, the only thing that he does not have is the numbers that are comparable to the people who he is deservedly compared to. What part of this situation that I have been explaining for over a year now are people missing? The only thing this man is missing is the numbers. Numbers. Run these numbers up. There's nothing for else him to do. So that shit he's doing with Hit, like, no, that's why I'm like, no, do that. The stuff with 21, do that. Because that's going to do numbers.
Jonathan,
I told you, man, Glove, I'm going to say this one more time. You hear how Glove was talking to me, Mike? He's like, well, I was quadruple platinum out the gate. Hint.
Now the numbers matter. Jonathan Coleman with the super chat says, has Nas rapped over a Neptune beat? Yeah, the Flyers. Yeah, that was on the Clones
Charlie's
album.
Angels.
Or was it Charlie's
Angels?
Did they put
Charlie's
on
Angels soundtrack?
What was that was on the Clones album?
I feel like he did have something on there. He's done a couple of tracks with the Neptunes, but
nothing really that stood out to me.
Like two. Yeah. You know, Pharrell is the one that introduced him to Khalees.
Yeah, I heard. CJ Kidd with the super chat says, maybe KD4 might be a duo album this time. Nas and Hit Boy trading bars the whole album. That'd be dope. Again, just continue to change it up.
Some bars. Yeah, he got some bars. Y'all be too proud to do the devil's work. When he said that shit, I was like, yeah, he's a rapper.
Yeah.
Rapper. Yeah.
I got to get Magic on vinyl, by the way.
Me too.
People are talking about the vinyl's nice. I bet it is.
The green vinyl? Yeah, I've been seeing pictures of the vinyl. Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, I think the record is another banger. Hit Boy has this album coming out this Friday. We're going to talk about that this Friday as well. But, yeah, you're right. I mean, we don't need any more evidence that Nas is the greatest rapper of all time. I mean, and again, I'm not even expecting a KD4. But if we get a KD4 this year, man, like, I don't. This ain't even about the people in his class anymore. Now I'm looking at the Coles and Kendricks, man. Like, this is crazy.
I'm totally cool if he doesn't even drop an album this year and he just does, like, feature runs and runs his numbers up with everybody else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That would be a good look for him. Like, he's never had a year like that. All his feature run years, this is what I mean, his feature run years even, Mike, are on some rap shit. It's like, ooh, you heard that I for an I verse, you heard that verbal intercourse, that more money, like, no. I would just like to see him do like a feature run, starting with this hit shit. This is the perfect way to start a feature run with the guy that, you know, got this run started with you, you know, and just kind of keep going for there. So the 21 record, the hit record, I would love to hear him do a remix to one of these Metro records. You know what I'm saying? Or something like that, you know?
Well, somebody said something interesting in the chat. What would you think about Hit Boy producing an album for Nas and AZ?
How the money gonna work?
What do you mean?
How the money gonna work? Who paying for what?
Mass appeal.
And no. And furthermore, and this is what I mean. What does that do for Nas as an artist at this stage to do the album with A? I know we want to hear it. What does it do?
Well, it's for the fans, sounds like.
He just made Magic for the fans. You see what I'm saying about that?
Mm-hmm.
Magic was literally... Mike, I've been told this firsthand. He made that specifically for us that was wondering if he could make something rhyme-wise comparable to Illmatic. And he was literally like, okay, bet that. And then he went and did it. And Mike, and how did that shit go? Because I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. Because I know who people are and I know who I am. The Nas and AZ album going to go like this. It's like, man, there ain't no phone tap on there. Ain't no Life's a Bitch on there. Ain't even no More Money, More Murder, More Homicide on there. With these beats hit, man,
you don't think people would embrace it?
Why ain't they go ahead and call Pete Rock and Preem?
Now I think that
ain't nobody trying to hear that.
Now there you go. That would be the criticism. People would be wondering, where's Premier at? Where's Pete Rock at? And it's like, I think at this point we have to face the reality that the combination of Hit Boy and Nas has surpassed the combination of Premier and Nas. You know, Pete Rock and Nas, obviously, they haven't made a whole lot of stuff together. Even Large Professor and Nas. It is what it is.
This is his best producer pairing. I don't
Straight
care what
up.
you say.
It is.
His best-
They got 4 albums together, Coop. There's no way you can.
It's not even conversational.
No,
His
it's not.
best songs are with Preem. His best songs are with Preem. That's fine. The output is hit. Like, the top end songs are Preem because Preem has I Gave You Power and Nas is like in New York State of Mind 1 and 2. No, we get it. But that's what I'm saying. Y'all understand, like, Preem and Nas only got like 8 joints together, right? You know what I'm saying?
Well, like I said, and I say this with the Andre 3000 thing all the time. You can't judge people on spot dates and features and things like that. It's a whole body of work. These guys have proven 4 times a body of work. There is no body of work in one collective setting from Nas and Premier. And as great as they sound together when they do get together, we can't say that they're a better combo than Hit and Nas. Just like I would never say they're a better combo than Dre and Snoop. We just don't have the evidence.
Okay, Nas and AZ barely have an album worth of material together over the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Premier and Nas don't have an album worth of material together. So some of the fodder is literally just that. It's fodder and it's nostalgia. It's like, no. You talking about our childhood, fam. It's like, Mike, I'm cool with Phone Tap.
Yeah.
I'm cool with Life's a Bitch. Like, if they get together and do something, I love it. But I love more when AZ's dropping an album and Cormega's dropping an album and somebody as big as Nas is the first person I see to repost it and support it and tell people to go check it out.
Oh, yeah.
I love to see that.
I love
to
that.
see that just as much as I love to hear the record at this point. We got the records.
Yeah, and Nas posted the Static Selector Wu-Tang record. Like, I love that. I love seeing that. Now,
Yeah.
if we talk about an unofficial duo that we need an effort from, give me that Jadakiss and Styles, man. I'll take that today.
Hey, real talk. They both missed a big opportunity by not doing that. And I don't know
They
why.
could have done it after the verses. To be honest, they could have done it as recent as after the verses.
Mike,
Because
they should've-
Jada
they
was
should've-
a
they
hot
should've-
commodity out here after that. Now, you know.
They should have done it after. They should have done it after We Gon' Make It. They should have done it after We Are the Streets. They should. I can count like 4, 5, 6 times they should have done it.
Yeah, when all that G-Unit stuff was going on, people are saying it's too late. I'm surprised y'all are saying that because Styles and Jada
It's never
still
too
sound
late.
great. It's not like they sound washed or anything. They sound great still. I don't think it's too late to make a dope
It's never
album.
too late.
Now, it might be too late for, hip-hop to herald it as it should be, but for them to make a dope album, I don't think it's too late. And I think, like I said, they could have done it after that Dipset verses and had all the intention.
Had multiple songs.
Jadarian with the
times.
super chat says, Nas as an artist should do what he wants. He's solidified. As long as his heart is in it, we will support. Definitely.
That be the thing. Let's have a conversation about support. We got an old school way sometimes of looking at support. You feel me? We really do look at support like, I copped this piece. We're done here. Peace.
Well, all right. This is the thing.
No. Listen, no.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Just let me extend my comment a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Like, I know this gentleman. He's a commercial real estate mogul, Mr. Pitts. I've known Mr. Pitts since I was in college. He was a great black man. He's one of my mentors. Played point guard at Texas A&M. But more than anything else, he's a big Prince fan. Okay? Me and him have a Prince conversation. Keep in mind, this man's about 15, 16 years my senior. So records I think I know. Oh, he's singing the words to him when I'm pulling the songs out.
Yeah.
At one of my old jobs, when Prince died, he literally asked my owner if he could throw an event for Prince, and my owner agreed. And he DJ'd the event. When he showed up in like this purple rainish kind of like. But long story short, Mike, Prince used to have pins that you could buy. Like, James had all the pins, and I realized it's like, no, he's got all the vinyl, He's got all the cassettes. He's got all the CDs. He's got all the pins. You get what I'm saying? Support. When I'm saying support, I'm talking about Mr. Pitts. I'm not talking about like copping one time. Like the people, and that's what I'm talking about with this Nas fan base is like, no, people may not be educated on what it means to really support an artist. Now, I'm not saying Nas is Prince. You know, nobody is Prince to me. But when I look at Mr. Pitts and how he supported Prince, I'm like, my guy Esco need more guys like Mr. Pitts. And that's really what I've been stressing. Somebody that's like, no, Coop, I got the vinyl of this. I got the, like, he got 45s of records that got released as singles that never made albums. You feel what I'm saying? Nas doesn't seem to have that in his corner. Listen to what I'm saying. Jay got that in his corner. Drake, Wayne, M, Pop, Big, they got that. So when I'm talking about what he doesn't have, that's what I'm talking about. It's like, that's why it's like, no. We do need to go buy a copy of Magic on vinyl.
There's a lot to unpack there, though. I understand what you're saying. And,
no, I know people understand me, but do they feel me?
I understand what you're saying, but I think there's reasons, and I don't think that some of those people that you mentioned, they have large fan bases, but I don't know how dedicated a Drake fan base is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that one of the things...
Drake sells out everything, Mike.
Oh, yeah. I mean, but again, people go to concerts for different reasons. Sometimes people go to concerts just to say they were there, you know, just to be somewhere or whatever that's popping, just so they could put it, you know, tag it on their social media, not just for that artist. You know what I mean? Oh, let me get to these super chats real quick. Ed with the super chat says, Coop, the days of Nas selling high numbers are over, respectfully. He's got three multi-platinum albums. I'm good with Nas putting out music that he wants, not numbers inspired.
That might stop right second. That person thinks they're part of the solution and they're really part of the problem. Keep going. People who think like that are part of the problem, not the solution. Keep going.
KC1 with the super chat says, do y'all think that Jay-Z lost his flow? I've noticed that he's doing more of the talking rap style now. That happened to Prodigy after Murder Music. And it seems like he lost his flow. I'm glad, you know what? This is kind of like that Alicia Keys epiphany I had back in the day where I knew that she was singing out of tune, but I never said anything because I thought maybe I was crazy. But when I heard, I told this story on the show before. This is when one of my homies was dating a singer that was signed to Neo's team or whatever. And, you know, she's a singer. She's in the studio all the time. We were in the grocery store or something, and they were playing an Alicia Keys song, and she said, how do they let her get away with singing off out of key like that and out of tune like that? And I was like, word, I feel you. I knew I wasn't crazy. I feel the same way about this comment because I was listening to 444 and I felt that way, but I was like, man, maybe I'm just being too picky. I don't know, man. The flow ain't the same. And, you know, and listening to the Blueprint the other day, that was one of the big things that Jay was heralding himself on, as he should, that his flow is in pocket. I don't have any proof of that in today's time because a lot of the stuff is kind of a talking flow. Are you hearing that?
I mean, first of all, I've always heard that. What the hell do y'all think friend or foe is?
Well, no. Friend or foe is him changing it up.
Like he ain't rapping. That ain't no flow.
No, I feel you, but he was trying something different, and he showed you on other records that he had the flow. I don't know if he's showing us on any records right now that flow is in pocket like it once was.
I mean, Mike, practice makes perfect. And when you don't practice, like, yeah, you're going to lose some things. That's why I was kind of speaking to Meth. You know, Meth sound the way he sounds. His flow still sounds silky. It still sounds slick. It still sounds effortless. Because that motherfucker be going to work, Mike. You go to work.
That might be your answer to the Inspectah Deck thing, too. Like, Inspector's been putting out a lot of music as of late, and that's probably why he sounds so good. You're practicing. You're in practice.
You're in form.
Yeah.
Yes. the NBA. It's called being in game shape, Mike.
Now,
You know, like hold on, Mike. Like, let's be honest. We're about to do this cipher. I know you've been practicing.
I have, you know.
So, Mike,
But-
so have I, because we don't rap on a regular basis anymore.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You're damn right we're practicing. We don't do this regularly anymore. But
Right.
here's what I mean about the respect of it. And I do want to bring this up to Jay, about Jay and about the Kendrick thing. Look here, Mike. What we doing to prepare for this cipher made me realize, Mike, if I wanted to, I could still make a song or two a week if I wanted to. A week. And I'm talking on my schedule, Mike. I could still record a song or two a week. So, like, when niggas don't be rapping and acting like they don't have time to rap, I don't be wanting to hear that shit. You know what I'm saying?
I think
So it's
Kendrick's
like,
just not inspired, to be perfectly honest with you. And I don't even think this current album was something that he really wanted to make. He just knew it was time and he had to put something out. But yeah, I just don't think Kendrick's inspired. And I think you kind of hit
ain't
the
nobody
nail
trying-
on the head
that's what I'm
about
saying.
Jay.
Mike, no, I hear what you're saying. Listen to what I'm saying. They got lives where they can fly anywhere in the world and see whatever they want to see. I don't want to hear that I ain't inspired shit either. Not like from you, but it's like I'm sick of giving people like excuses. It's like, no. You got a whole lifestyle. Like, Mike, some of the bars that I've been freestyling, like from what I see when I'm writing, no, stop that. They not inspired.
I mean, you can still
No,
get
you know-
writer's block. I mean, it can still happen. I mean, but
No,
as
not
far
the
as
real
far
writers.
as Jay
Not
goes,
not the real writers. No, not the real writers for this long. No, it doesn't.
I think as far as Jay goes, though, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, man. Jay is a family man at this point. He's done
Yeah.
everything, you know, as far as rap goes. He's handling business. And, making an album is just not at the top of mind for him. You know what I mean? Like,
That's fine, but when it's on the top of the mind of the person that you've been compared to closely for like the last 20 years, it's like, ain't nobody trying to hear that I'm not inspired shit. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, don't nobody really want to hear that at the end of the day.
well, you
It's
know
like,
what's
nigga, you got it or
interesting,
you
man?
don't. You got it or you don't.
You know what's
Like, what we doing?
interesting? T.I., I don't know if you heard when T.I. gave it up to Wayne and said, look, you know, he basically said, Wayne, I'm paraphrasing here, is a better rapper than him because he wanted it.
He is.
And
He's right.
and because he put in the work and put in the time. Now, if
Right.
Jay were to come forth and say that about Nas at this point, I would totally get it and totally respect that. I don't think that's going to happen. But
That'll never
I
That'll
don't
never
think
happen.
that's
That'll
going to happen.
Hold your breath.
But
Hold your
at
breath
this
on that.
point, I mean, you know, as hip hop fans, you just gotta, you know, face what it is. When somebody's beating you at that point, they're beating you. It is what it is. There's nothing wrong with that. but the evidence
it's not
is
even
there.
that type of. No, it's not even that type of competition. That's why I go
Yeah.
to inspiration. It's like no. It's like operate on your level.
Yeah.
You know.
Let me get to these super chats real quick. 36 Chambers says, anytime Eminem, Alicia Keys, and John Legend come up, I wait for the mic hate. Man, come on, man. I ain't that bad. Listen.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah. Yeah, y'all know y'all don't listen to John Legend's music. Don't try to act like I'm crazy. Like, yeah,
I might
after
be
the
with
first
you on
two
John
albums,
Legend.
ain't nobody listening to
Hold on. First of all, when you're when we're talking about John Legend, we're talking about the person, right?
this.
We don't be talking about John Legend's music, do we?
No, I'm talking about the music, man. I don't know the person.
I thought we were talking about how he's a phony ass. Okay, never mind. Okay, I thought we were talking about
John
something else.
Legend, and you know, and I like John Legend. Once again, it's one of
I
my
don't.
favorite R&B albums of that era. But the
I
fact
like it
that
listed more.
he once was soulful and he start making music that, you know, that Caucasian people may play at weddings. That's just the reality.
No, see, my problem ain't that he make music for white people. My problem is that he be gallivanting with the white people and fade yay to gallivant with the white people. Don't be gallivanting with the white people after you fade yay. Don't look good. I don't like it.
Jay Short with the super chat says, I don't think Jay lost his flow. I just think that the conversational flow sounds dated now. Just like how that Chuck D / Kumo D energy in the flow got dated for a bit.
I like that.
I guess that's... Do you think that God did verse is I mean, his flow's all over the place. It's conversational. It's not in pocket.
My verse just okay.
Yeah. Ed with the
Verse-
super chat says, "What 30-year-old rap vet doing Nas numbers today? Premiering top 10 on Billboard. Nas is one of. I said Nas is one of one. Excuse me. He ain't selling like Drake, Cole, and K-Dot today, and that's perfectly fine." Antonio with the super chat says, "Coop, Nas fans support when we buy his vinyl and stream the music and sell out Madison Square Garden. Nas fans can't compete with the streaming farms." I think that's a good point too. There's a lot of people out here cheating, and that's why I brought up the whole fact that Magic didn't get any like major media coverage outside of us and maybe a few others. It lets you know that some of those people who be juicing other people's numbers, it's not happening here. So you're seeing raw numbers. And like I said, with that DaBaby situation, the fact that they were saying DaBaby's sales dropped the way it supposedly did, that lets me know something fishy's going on. Because DaBaby ain't just lose support like that.
So, yeah, okay. So we gonna start cheating? I mean, that's what I heard. So
There you go.
Cheating? Is that what you're saying? We gonna start cheating too? Is that what we doing?
I'm just saying that, you know, what you
What are
saw
we doing
in
about it?
what I'm
I'm
saying
just
is what you saw in the Garden is real stuff. Whereas these numbers that come in and get posted by certain publications may not be as real as we think. Because you could see, you could feel what the Garden was. And he was playing nothing but records that recently came out. So it wasn't like, I mean, he did a few, you know what I'm saying, throwback records, but for the most part, it was all new energy, and you felt that energy in there. People traveled miles and miles and countries to see that. So that's real stuff. I guess I'm just saying that maybe we can't get as caught up in what's being publicized because obviously the publicity is skewed. Jay Short with the super chat says, "That's not fair, Mike. The Dream and Music Soul Child aren't always in key either. And no one says anything because the music is good." Well, okay, let me address that. I don't view the Dream as a singer first. I view him as a writer first. And yes, Music Soul Child do be kind of falling in and out of, key or whatnot. But he stays in his arena. He doesn't go out there trying to, some people, jumping out of bounds, man. At least you be jumping out of her key a few times. That's just, my opinion. Leroy Green with the super chat says, "Mike, you know how to flow. So how Jay off on God Did?" I don't know if it's off, but it's just more of that conversational flow. What's that?
It's not that good. It's not that he's off. Instead, it's not that good.
The lyrics are always going to be there because he's a lyricist. You know what I mean? But I do feel like the flow is kind of lost. Prove me wrong, man. I want to hear Jay over a Timbaland beat, man. I know Leroy got the connect. Throw a Timbaland beat up there with the difficult flows and all that. And I want to hear how in pocket he is in 2023.
How about this? You heard the beat that Nas was just riding, the hit beat?
Yeah.
You think Jay can jump in that pocket right now?
I don't think so right now. I mean, because even with Ape Shit, that was 2018. He was still he wasn't really that in pocket on Ape Shit like that. Hadn't listened to Ape Shit in a minute, but I'm gonna go back and listen after this show. But I just remember, I don't remember and again, I don't want to judge people by their prime, but Jay is a flow master, man. And so when I think about flow and him being a 10 there, I think about, is that your chick type of, sliding in a record. You know what I mean?
He's what I like to call, he's one of our greatest game time performers.
Mm-hmm.
And so oftentimes his flow gets sicker as the situation will call for it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you an example. The Success record with Nas. It's like, no, that might be his sickest flow on the whole album. But it's because Nas is on the record. How's his flow?
It's funny. It's funny you said that. I would go even further. he did that on what I think is his possibly worst album, Holy Grail, the record with Nas.
The BBC joint.
Yeah, he's
His best
flowing
flow
on there.
that one too.
Yeah, it's like, okay, Nas is on the record, you flowing now. Like, he came in that bitch like, what you know about going out here west, red legs, TVs, all up in their headrest, makes niggas at
Right.
Madison Square Garden, 50 million sold it, we still catching charges. I was like, that's Jay.
So that's what I'm talking about. That's the thing with him.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, okay, like, this is what I'm saying. The best flow on American Gangster is the record with Nas. The best flow on Magna Carta, Holy Grail. The record with, so.
I don't know, man. I like the Rock Boys, man. That might be the best flow for me on American
No. That is not his best. See, you're with, okay. Flow-wise, on verse 1, 2, and 3, on the Rock Boys, there's no real change, Mike. On Success, this motherfucker switches up his flow like every few bars. It's different.
Let your head out, baby.
Impeccable. I'm not to be fucked with. Shit. Let that bitch breathe. I'm way too important to be talking about extorting. Asking me for a portion's like asking for a coffin. Broad daylight, I off your light switch. You're not too bright. Good night. Long kiss. Bye-bye. My reply. Blah. No, he ain't flowing like that nowhere on American Gangster except that record. And you know it.
That's a dope flow, though. Let your head out, baby. I just hit a score. Pick any place in the planet. Pick a shore. Take what the Forbes figured and figure more. Because they forgot to account what I did with the raw. Yeah, he's not rapping like that anymore, man. Pick a time, let's pick apart some stores. Pick a weekend for figure fours. I figure frauds never hit a lick before. And they ain't seen the number of things come across. Right. Kill
Put your hand out the window, feel the force.
Snapping. Incredible. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, respectfully, ain't no one listening to God did anymore. 80 bars of absolute mid-level J. And it wasn't worth the CNN coverage then or my time now. Shaking my head. That was MSNBC.
Hey, real talk. The Ghost of Soldier Slim verse is so much better than that verse.
Ghost of Soldier Slim verse is hard. But I think that's where, to me, that's where the off-kilter flow started on that project.
The neck and wrist verse is harder.
Neck and wrist verse is hard. Where people were allegedly saying that, he was addressing some of the things that I've said. Jonathan with the super chat says, Jay probably wants to drop an album until he's 60. He said Jay probably won't. I guess he won't drop an album until he's 60. I mean, at that point, all right. Let's just clear the air. Let's just ask a blanket question. Do you think Jay-Z is going to drop another album?
I think the pressure might be getting too big at this point, Mike.
Think this is getting in Dr. Dre territory?
It's becoming insurmountable, yeah. Too much time is passing. And here is the thing, and here's where he can suffer a pitfall. Well, he's known for his numbers. You know what I'm saying? And if he don't do numbers, Mike, ooh, motherfucking we. You know what type of problems be out here outside?
Oh, he's gonna do numbers. They got farms. They got farms to make sure that.
I hate to be. This is what I'm saying. Like, first of all, you've been outed about the whole Title Farms thing, so you can't go and commit murder twice. For one.
Why not? People forgot.
Ain't nobody forgot. I'm gonna remind them. Title was out there stealing streams for him and his wife. How about that? Everybody know it in the streets and in the industry. He's been stealing streams for a long time. Ain't nobody even stressing that because he was Jay way before he started stealing streams. So ain't nobody stressing that.
I mean, everybody does it.
Huh. You ain't cheating, you ain't trying, apparently.
Right.
You know how he is about trying. This is one trying MF. But realistically, Mike, he's used a lot of strategies and ploys to sell his records. Remember the whole Nokia or Samsung thing for Holy Grail?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That was about numbers.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing before 444 wasn't 444. Didn't they only
444
available.
did something exclusively with Tidal, I remember.
Right.
I think what you were talking about with Holy Grail, that was an Android thing where you downloaded the app ahead of time and you were going to get the album early or something. And so for every download, count it as a sale or something like that.
See, this is before we even understood how those things work. Him and his team was on that.
No, for real.
We didn't even
Nah,
know
he's
what
ahead
we
of the
was
curve.
doing. We didn't even know what we was doing by downloading it. We just knew it was Jay and it was the access. So we're like, oh, just give me the access.
Yeah, he just wanted the album, yeah.
Right. So he's like I told you, as far as all the great rappers go, he's the greatest businessman of all the great rappers.
Oh, definitely. It's not even
And
close.
shit like that. And shit like that is the reason why. But then you start realizing, Mike, it's like, well, when he hasn't used the ploy, pretty much post Black Album, oh well, them numbers don't look as good. So
I think when you haven't used the ploy, you look at American Gangster, right? Because even
do numbers like that.
it didn't, and I think that he thought he was gonna attach. Maybe that was the plan, because they always got a plan. He was gonna attach himself to the movie in that way, but it wasn't really an official soundtrack, and it wasn't something that got the overall support from like the. I don't believe it did. It didn't seem like it got the production support from who made American Gangster? What production company? I forgot. Somebody can look that up real quick. But yeah, I mean,
A colonizer.
but outside of that, yeah, I think American Gangster is about as raw as it gets without having something big attached to it. And that's a movie. You know what I mean? Like Kingdom Comes, its whole ploy was it's the comeback album. Like this is 45 Jordan, like coming out of retirement. Boom. American
Right.
Gangster was kind of, I think
this is
American
what I
Gangster
mean.
was a response to the fact that people really weren't pleased with Kingdom Come, and he wanted to make a hardcore album, but attached it to the movie. You know what I'm saying?
Kingdom Come's not any good for one, but
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
why
That's
right,
being out of
it's not good.
practice, though. Really.
Well, here's what I'm saying. Even with the Floyds, Mike, you don't remember the Budweiser commercial with Dale Earnhardt Jr.?
Yep. That was Kingdom Come.
I know. That's why I'm bringing it up.
Mhm.
It's like, no. That's why I'm saying post-Black Album, it's either a ploy or a steal to move the numbers. He ain't really moved the numbers like that in a minute either.
You're right. I mean, he's been attaching everything after
it's
the
not-
Black Album.
The only
He's
thing
been
he's done
attaching.
organically is Ye. Ye. If it's not with Ye, it hasn't been organically done in the last 20 years by him. It's either been stolen or it's been some sort of marketing media ploy.
Well, he's
Which
been
is
attaching
fine.
to big brands. You know what I mean? Brands that are just as big as him, if not bigger. Like you said, you got Budweiser on the Kingdom Come thing, right? American Gangster is attaching to a movie. Blueprint 3, obviously there's a lot of hits involved there. That's when Kanye comes back into the fold. That's when you get a lot of big time collaborations. Him and Alicia Keys, him and Rihanna. You know what I'm saying?
Now, here's what I will tell you about him and his team and how they work and what I like. They put him in those positions because I'll tell you what, let's go to his contemporary and sometimes the guy that's considered to be his main competitor. Why hasn't Nas's team done anything involving Ring in any of these KD albums? Like anybody that signs up for Ring automatically gets a, you know what I'm saying? A download, a ultra. You get what I'm saying? Like
I think
Nas
it's two totally different industries where it doesn't really intersect in that way. I mean, I could see how that will work, but a lot of the things
you attach your star to what they're already attached to. You make it work. That's your job as part of a team. You feel what I'm saying? It's not Nas's job to make the Ring and the Music Connection work. It's the fucking team's job.
How would you make the Ring and the Music connect? I mean, I know we're just kind of going off the cuff here, but
I'll tell you what, Mike. If you give me till Friday, I'll pull up with a full plan for it. And show you this. Right, give me till Friday. I'll have like a full plan for you.
There it is.
Because it's like too many people are like involved with Ring that know Nas is involved with Ring. It's like, well, let's find a way to connect that dot.
You're right.
That conversation should be had.
Ed with the super chat says Jay's flow peaked on Blueprint 2 in the Black Album era. That's funny you say that. I was just saying that yesterday. I was on the phone with my homeboy Brandon. We were talking about that yesterday, and like you said, Jay is a game time performer, and I feel like his response to everything that was going on with the Ether thing was, I'm just gonna go out here and rap my ass off. And again, I think even there was a plan with that double disc because we all know double disc count twice. He doubled his chances to do numbers. So you can't say numerically, he was affected by Ether, quote unquote, right? Because the numbers will come in and you get the 2.1. They probably merged all those numbers too.
So this is another thing that could be getting done. It's like, I mean, and this is just for me, the main reason why I feel like KD4 is being made, Mike, or is going to come out? Because if this run was over or is over, they're doing themselves a great disservice to the fan base and to their numbers by not repackaging these 4 projects together. I told you it needs to be a King's Disease trilogy package with a +1, and the +1 is Magic. And there's so many ways to market and promote that and brand that. And now, Mike, you're selling all 4 of the copies at once to the core fan base all over again as collector's items, limited edition. Like, I have a Sign of the Times album that has the original Prince stickers and posters. That matters to guys like me. It's like, no. My Sign of the Times got the original stickers.
I think I got that right here, yeah.
You got that revamped Sign of the Times. I
got you.
You're a casual Prince fan, I see. I don't really get down with your kind. You don't even know what stickers I'm talking about. Fuck you. Right. I don't fuck with you. Mike, this is what I mean about how it be serious. Mike, I ordered that vinyl from Denmark. The person I bought it from don't even speak English.
Super fan. That's the fanatic part, right? Leroy Green with the super chat says Jay's album, like Dre, has to challenge the culture. It's not like Nas when he can make anything and you say instantly it's a classic. So Jay has to get in the lab and challenge the culture.
First of all, Jay and Dr. Dre do a lot of things. Challenge the culture is not one of the things. Like that ain't what they do. They don't challenge the culture at anything.
Well, I will say this. I mean, and we don't have a whole lot to kind of build from with Dre because, he has 2 solo albums and we could go on to what he's done for other artists. But I will say this about Dre. His shit is next level, whether it be, a concept with the headphones, whether it be the Chronic 2001. Like when Exhibit said, man, never knew about the next level until Dre did it. Even the Chronic. That shit's next level for 1992. And I mean, like, Jay is great. And Jay's going to give you some hits and Jay's going to give you some music to ride to. But I don't feel like sonically, he's taking everything to that next level. That would be Kanye or something to me.
Nah, Dre doesn't have any more jumps in his body either. And I thought about that. In his physical body, he might be out of jumps, Mike. I want you to think about this.
I mean, I told people that in 2003. I was like, we're not getting the detox.
No, this is what I mean, though. Boys in the Hood, it sounds nothing like anything else from the West Coast around that time.
Not even 6 in the morning? No?
No. Okay. I don't think so. It sounds ahead of 6 in the morning. Don't you think?
I think it does sound ahead. I mean, yeah, man. They're next level.
I mean, it's not like ahead by like leaps and bounds, but yeah, it's ahead, Mike. Deep
production-wise, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Deep cover, Mike. Deep cover ahead of everything.
Yeah.
Deep cover ahead of everything. Like
even Dre Day, man. When you hear that shit come in, and we don't even talk about Dre Day like that. When you hear that shit come in, it's like, nah, man, this is something else. This ain't a regular song. This is not a regular artist. If anybody else makes a song like Dre Day, we'll never stop talking about it. But we expect it from him. His level, it's kind of like the LeBron James thing. Every time he steps on the court, there's a level that we expect from him that we expect from no one. Like
Dre Day is block music too, Mike. That's for the hood. That's for the hood to ride around to.
Yeah. Leroy Green with the super chat says, Jay knows he's being watched as a blueprint, Mike.
I get all that. But what I'm trying to say is that I don't even know how much it really behooves him at this point. Because I think he stands maybe more to lose than there is to gain, i.e. Dr. Dre with the Compton album. That's why I was bringing Dre back up, too. That look what happened with Dre with Compton. Compton got us to stop asking for detox.
Well, this is the thing. And even with the Compton album.
And I don't mean that in a complimentary way.
I understand. What I was going to say, though, and I've always said this about the detox, When Dre drops an album, it's for a purpose. The Chronic launched Death Row, and essentially 2001 launched Aftermath as a label, you know what I mean, and brought all those elements together to make the Aftermath brand as strong as it had become. The Compton album was for the NWA soundtrack, really. You know what I mean? I mean, it wasn't the NWA soundtrack, but it was for the NWA movie. Without that movie, that Compton album doesn't come out. There's no point for Dre to put out an album. He's not out here trying to launch an artist. He has his headphone brand. Like, his headphone brand is the hip-hop version of Jordan brand. Niggas is gonna buy Beats by Dre anyway. He ain't gotta make no records to support that. And I think Jay has gotten to that point now where really for him to get out of his house or get in the studio, it has to be a purpose. And I don't think that Jay-Z has a purpose to make an album.
That's what I mean. How does it behoove him to do any of this stuff? Because it's like, I'd be lying to you. I told you this, Mike. I thought Nas was the greatest MC of all time before he did any of this. This is all icing on the cake shit in my mind. It's just the most beautiful cake I've ever seen layered this late in the game. But it's like, no, I felt that way before. But it's like, oh, ain't no question now. So,
Right.
and that's what I mean is like, I don't know if he stands to gain. Because here's the thing. The only thing that I really think he stands to gain is that he gets to move up one spot from 2 to 1, maybe. And I don't think he can do that.
That's a long
You feel me?
climb, man. Like, that would have been an easier climb with just KD1 out there, right? Then he could make a Jay-Z level album and be back at that number 1. But you got 4 mountains to climb, man.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Mike, it's a 4 mountain minimum.
Yeah.
Because it's not like those projects, like those 4 projects are better than his last 4 projects. Like, easily. That's what I'm saying. It's just like, you would have to come back out here and do so much to make that conversational, I think, again. And your sales probably aren't going to be the same. And I do hear what people saying about how, well, you know, this isn't the quote-unquote musical selling prime for artists of this age. And so, you know what I'm saying? They're not going to do X amount of numbers. No, I get that. 20,000, y'all? No. Like, y'all got to meet me in the middle somewhere with what I'm talking. I'm not asking for the niggas to, like, go. Like, have you seen the biggest selling albums this year?
Who are they?
I mean, like, you know, like, Drake's Her Loss is still moving, like, hundreds of thousands of copies a week.
Right. I mean, it's 2 artists, and, you know, one is Drake,
I'm not
obviously.
asking him to move. Hold on. I'm not asking him to move hundreds of thousands of copies a week. My question is why isn't this shit at 500,000 or a minimum? You know what I'm saying?
Well, let's put things in
questions to
context.
ask.
Let's
That's
put things
fair.
in context. Too. When we were growing up in the 90s, right? When we were growing up, the artists that our parents grew up listening to, they were in their 50s at this point, I would believe, either late 40s or 50s, right? Were they moving units back then? Like, when Patti LaBelle was dropping, was she moving units? When Barry White came back with Practice What You Preach, was he moving units? Like, I feel like the industry just hasn't been conducive or found a way to actually sell to an older demographic, whether that be, you know, with new music per se. They're able to actually sell the concerts. But when the Osley Brothers were dropping what they were dropping in the 90s and early 2000s, how well were those albums really doing? And if they were doing well, was it because they were selling to a younger demographic now? Or was it because they were selling to our parents? You know what I mean?
Okay, so I'm gonna say something to you, and this is what I mean about how we're gonna have a whole. You ready to have let's have a quick stadium flow convo, Mike, about these things right quick. About how the difference. Okay, Mike, blacks make up 13% of the American population.
Allegedly, but yes. I don't believe that.
I believe that wholeheartedly.
I don't believe it, but okay.
From the things that I've seen, yeah, I believe it. 3% of that is incarcerated, Mike. We make up 10% of this nation free. I'll throw you a caveat, and let's say that the numbers are a little misappropriated and that we make up 20% of the population. and then
That's what I
5%
think as well.
is incarcerated, which leaves it at 15. I know a lot of intelligent blacks that feel the same way that you do. So let's say that we make up 15% of this population. Okay.
Okay.
So we're already against it, Mike. You feel what I'm saying? We're already against it number-wise about making our stars big all-time stars for the rest of their life.
Well, hold on, time out. I want to put something in that I've kind of come across just, as of late, right? Do you find it interesting? When's the last time you filled out one of those, like, forms where they ask you, like, you African-American, black, all that stuff, right? Hey, what's up? What's up?
Forms?
Like any
Yeah,
form that's
halfway
kind of
on camera, China.
like a Scantron type thing, right? Where it's like black or African American, Asian. What's the other one they'll have? Middle Eastern. I think Native American or whatever, or white. When I look at those forms now, I find it very interesting that they don't have Hispanic on there, right? So they have Hispanic on there once you click either black or white. And then they'll ask you, are you non-Hispanic black or, African American or Hispanic black or non-Hispanic black? So saying all that to say, a lot of the quote unquote white numbers from a, percentage standpoint come from many people who are Hispanic who are registering themselves as white. So the numbers are kind of cooked in that way.
No, I was about to say, so I'll tell you another way that the numbers are cooked, and then we can have the conversation right quick, Mike. I'll give you an example. My youngest sister, and I don't tell too many people this, but, I don't mind, I don't think she minds. She's half Sicilian, half black, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, about her Italian, let me say Sicilian heritage, because Sicilians don't even consider themselves to be Italian, really. About her Sicilian heritage, I once had to adopt my youngest sister. So she was literally in my home and in my care. And so when I am getting her enrolled in school, I meet this woman who, Brenda McMillan, part of Delta Sigma Theta, and my sister's now part of Delta Sigma Theta. But one of the first things she told me when I was filling out my sister's paperwork for middle school when I had adopted her was put her down for other, Armand, because it's going to offer your sister the opportunities you didn't have just by you checking that box. So there are some of us that's going unchecked. I was in a relationship with a woman, my ex, Mike, she's half Filipino. She put down other because, quite frankly, as a black woman who has Pacific Islander heritage from Decatur, well, the Decatur black side ain't about to get her a job. That Pacific Islander side is. All right.
And you know what? And if you're a fair-skinned Hispanic and you put white Hispanic, you're going to put white Hispanic before you put black Hispanic, right? And that adds to that white number, you know what I mean? And I just don't understand why, if they're not trying to cook the books and cook the numbers, why don't you just have Hispanic along like you do Asian and, black, African American and white or whatever. But the fact that this 70%, all I'm saying is that 70% is kind of built on the strength of the fact that they got the Hispanic white population added into it, if that makes any sense. But yes, we're still outnumbered.
No, and I'll just be honest with you, Mike, more often than not, when black people sell records in the United States, whether we like it or not, Mike, it's because the white people buy the black records, not the black people. We don't make enough of the populace up, and we don't have enough disposable income over a course of generations at our disposal for us to do some of the things that get done for the white artist, and that's why I stress some of the things that I stress. We have to understand that we are fighting a numbers game that is very, very difficult for us to win for a variety of reasons. Mike, if you think black people got Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston and Prince and Janet and Michael Jackson to go diamond, you're kidding yourself. That's just the biggest hoax in history. Black people didn't buy Purple Rain and Thriller. White people did.
I think we did too. I think You sell
No,
a bunch
we
of
do
records
too,
when
Mike.
I think you
Mike,
sell a bunch of
when it
records when everybody buys the record. Like, let's look at Nelly, right?
No, Mike.
Nelly's the kind of
When
artist
people-
where both people were buying.
Hold on, Mike. I wasn't finished because I was actually about to say, go look at your biggest selling albums. Really go look at them, Mike. And I'm not being funny when I say this. Nelly is a tall, light-skinned, attractive guy whose first single, quite frankly, came off as a nursery rhyme and is very non-confrontational to white people. It's just the truth.
So what do you think?
The truth, Mike, you get on Eminem about this all the time, and that's why I'm having this conversation. Because,
I was going to go there.
No, because you're right, Mike. You're like, it's only selling because he's white. You're damn right.
Well, no. I want to rewind that.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Purple Rain, black people didn't make Purple Rain go double diamond or Thrill. Like, no, we don't run the numbers like that.
Well, this
Stop
is the
thinking that we
thing.
do. Not you. I'm not saying you. I'm saying that when Nelly's doing that 6-7 million, if you think that that's black people saying, you fucking trip.
No. Nelly got support from MTV, right? And so did, Michael and Prince for their biggest efforts. And MTV was catering to a younger white audience at that time specifically, right? I think what I'm saying as far as Eminem goes, Eminem, the people that he was marketed with were Kid Rock, Limp Bizkit. At the time, it was Christina Aguilera, Britney, like that audience. So the audience he was presented to was that massive white tween audience. And you look back at what Kid Rock and Marilyn Manson was selling at that time. Kid Rock's album around that time period did 15 million. Limp Bizkit's album at that time did 14 million. This is the class that Eminem is being marketed with. That's why I say that. It's not just him being white alone.
Okay.
It's the fact that he was being marketed with that audience. And people like Nelly or even Juvenile at that time, they were guests in that rotation. If Nelly had a hit, okay, you could roll with us, right? If Juvenile had backed that thing up, yeah, you could get on TRL for a day. But M lived there. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. No, you want to know what, Mike? I like that you clarified that, qualified that, and cleared some of that up. That was definitely very, very necessary. So you're not just talking about his whiteness for the sake of his whiteness. You're talking about the other white contemporaries in music that he's being paired with, as in, i.e., you're pairing him with the white rock stars and not with the black rappers that are his contemporaries.
And see, revisionist history is now people pull him out and act like he was being marketed with Jay and Nas back then, and he wasn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're playing on two different playing fields. People will be like, okay, well, in 1999 and 2000, Eminem sold this and Jay-Z sold this. It's not the same. They weren't even on the same stage. You know what I'm saying? And see, stuff like Renegade makes it seem like they were, but they weren't.
No, like, I'll tell you this, like I Am, the autobiography by Nas is triple platinum. Pain is Love by Ja Rule is triple platinum. That ain't the same triple platinum album in my eyes. You feel me?
Right.
So I get what you're saying. It's like, no. What Ja had to do to sell those 3 million records? It's like, nah, that ain't the same.
Right.
So I do feel what you're saying. No, I'm glad that you cleared some of that up, but we got to start having conversations. That's why, Mike, that's why I'm telling you the Prince story about James Pitts, because I realized that in order for our artists to make it to the level that they're supposed to make it consistently over a course of time, we do have to approach the fandom the way that James Pitts, Mr. Pitts, approached his Prince fandom. Like, we all have to approach it that way in order for these artists to really survive and to thrive, because the only artists that we've really done that for, they survived and they thrived. 2 Jacksons and a Prince. Janet, Michael, Prince. They thrived because we supported them with the fanaticism.
Yeah.
So
Uncle,
it's real. So it's not enough for us to just pull up, and that's all I'm saying.
you're saying we got to be super fans because we're already behind the 8 ball numerically.
Yes, numerically, on a couple of ways, we are already behind the 8 ball. Our fanaticism, it has to come as part of the package. It needs to be in the kit in order for it to work for our artists the way that it should. Because if not, Mike, I'll tell you this. Now I understand why Tina Turner wanted to live in London. Now I understand why Stevie Wonder want to live in Africa. Now I understand why my favorite group of all time, or my co-favorite group of all time, Wu-Tang Clan, is going on tour, and most of the tour is overseen with my favorite MC of all time, who happens to be the greatest MC of all time, because it's easier for them to sell out stadiums in this melting pot of a global climate than this 80-20 America with our fan base not being as educated and privy on how to support our artists. This isn't just a rap conversation, Mike. Everything that you're saying about the Isley Brothers, Earth, Wind, and Fire, OJ, Parliament Funkadelic, Bootsy Collins and the Rubber Band. You want me to keep on going, Mike? No, I hear you, player.
Well, you know what I think also that's interesting, and I wasn't thinking about this before. What does it look like for hip-hop artists internationally to book with promoters? And because we already know what the red tape looks like when it comes to a hip-hop event or, at any venue in the States. And not to mention, you got this whole thing with the Glorilla concert where people got, stampeded. It was terrible. 3 people died, and you got Benjamin Crump on the case with that. So that's not really going to help the insurance for hip-hop shows. I would imagine that on an international level, there's a lot of less red tape for hip-hop concerts. And it might just be easier for artists to just go over there and tour than it is in the States.
Yes. Less red tape, more love, more money, less legalities. Yes.
I could see that. Uncle Fran with the super chat says, Coop, to answer your question about the attachment for an album release, leverage. I think he's talking about Jay. MC with the super chat says, there's a difference between a fan and a supporter. Interesting. That's real. Okay. There's a lot of people who I'm fans of that I don't support, to be honest.
No. You know what? You end up a fan when you start supporting. Like, I wasn't a fan of Rick Ross at first, but then he made an album that I wanted to support. And then I ended up being a fan when I supported the album. And I was like, yo, this dude's really good. I was like, let me go back and get his other stuff.
Uncle Fran with the super chat says, Coop, Adele has leverage. Rihanna has leverage.
Yes. You want to know what they have? They have white people buying their records across the world all the time. Yes, they do.
Rihanna has a huge international audience.
Riri's international.
36 Chambers with the $20 super chat showing love over here says 26,000 units is approximately 45 million streams using Spotify and Apple Music's algorithm. It's not that we aren't listening, it's that stream numbers are worse for regular fans to help artists. Her loss is plays in the bars and clubs. Well, I do think that is another interesting dynamic, and we talked about this when it came to New York radio and the expansiveness of what it takes for what it looks like for a stream to get played on a radio station. What does it look like for a stream when you're played in a club? And, when you're constantly being played in the nightlife and versus an album that doesn't have records that are being played in the nightlife.
No, you're right. That's why I told you is like, no, when I heard If I Ruled the World at one of my favorite cigar bars and it was late at night, I realized it's like, oh, hold on. I'm like, Sam gonna eat off this record real good forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that's the one thing that has really helped the 90s artists, right? Like I think the 90s is the pinnacle of hip hop being on the radio, and not just being on the radio, but in future times being nostalgic, where it's a record that could still be played on the radio. I don't think the 2000s did that as much as the 90s, and the people who made important records in the 90s, like you said, are going to eat forever off of that. Outkast is good. Like, this shit's always going to get played.
Yeah. They're good. Hold on. Do you know when Outkast went from rich to wealthy, right? It's when white people got hip to Outkast. It's called Stankonia. Most white people think Outkast, Stankonia might have been Outkast's first album to them. That's when Outkast started making stupid money and became wealthy. That's when their records, that's when they started going multi-platinum many times.
Yeah. They came with a different edge on Stankonia.
We got to address the nature of the threat, Mike, like societal-wise, so we can address it musically-wise. And a lot of us as blacks, we don't like having this conversation because it reminds us of just the atrocities that have been done to us and how truly unfair it is for us as blacks on every single level in this nation.
So what are you
We have to
saying?
get
Are
over
you
it and start
saying
having
that?
these conversations.
So are you saying that artists should aim to make music palatable for Caucasian audiences? Because that's how it comes across when you're saying it.
What do you think? What do you think Thriller and Purple Rain really is, Mike? What do
Yeah.
you think it really is? Because if you go back and look at the memoirs, when the dudes are talking about making them records, they talking about them being bigger than what they are, as in, like, no, this black fan base and going like double, triple platinum, kind of cool. But I just watched Tom Petty sell 11 million records. I just watched Bruce Springsteen sell 18 million records. I just watched Pink Floyd sell 15 million records. I just got you get what I'm saying?
Well, with
It's like,
Michael,
no,
it was a little deeper.
Prince and Mike was sitting back watching that and is like, I'm better than every last one of these guys. You want to play that game? Let's go play that game. I make this
Yeah.
music better than you.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
let's go play
they
that
both
game.
had their experience with that, and I know with Michael specifically, they would tell him things like, and this is after Off the Wall, that black artists couldn't make the cover of magazines because they couldn't sell magazines. And so, you know, he was like, look, I'm just gonna make an album that's bigger than everything, and he did that. Now I want to ask you though, how do you do this in hip hop terms though?
Hold on. Before you do, I want you to understand what you just said. People need to hear that. They are telling Michael Jackson he too black after Off the Wall.
Mm-hmm. They said no, it wasn't just him. They were saying that black artists can't sell magazines. They told Michael Jackson.
Black artist. That's Michael Jackson.
Yeah, and they also
Who cares
told
about the
him.
other black artists?
MTV also told him that they weren't going to play his stuff because they don't play black music.
Hello. So I'm gonna say again, what do people think Thriller and Purple Rain is? Because I'm reading Prince's memoirs. This fool going to Bruce Springsteen shows and he's like, "Yeah, this guy ain't that talented to me."
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Or like he's saying it in references like, "Oh, I see." Prince is saying it like, "Oh, I see why people like Springsteen, but what does he have on me that I should be going double platinum?" And he's selling out every stadium, and so that's where the whole our whole black stadium flow comes from Thriller and Purple Rain getting made because those two guys realized it's like, no, we're better than everybody else, so we're just gonna go ahead and play this little game with you right quick and take your music from you. Thriller and Purple Rain are not R&B albums; they're pop culture albums. It's literally black men telling the establishment, "I do your music better than you. Take that, take that, take that."
It's like my favorite line from that Jackson mini series they had when Joe was like, "You think Donny Osmond got something on Michael Jackson?"
Right. No, like,
That's laughable.
Go listen to the melodies on those albums, Mike. Those aren't classic R&B melodies. Like Purple Rain is a bunch of pop songs. Take Me With You is a pop record. Mike, I don't care where we go. I don't care. What Prince ain't talking about that. The album before, he was talking about controversy. Ronnie Go to Russia. He was talking about communism and whether he was straight or gay. And all of a sudden, it's Take Me With You and Happy Ballads. Like, come on.
No, you're right. What I was going to ask you, though, but how do you do these things, a Thriller and Purple Rain, in hip-hop terms? And what are you proposing the hip-hop artists should do to, I guess, get their numbers to the level of, the Taylor Swifts and Adeles of the world?
I say this, and I mean this with all seriousness. I really think we missed an opportunity in black music when Lauryn Hill didn't come back out again. I think her album was our last real shot at that. And we needed more of her, and we just haven't gotten it. That's just the quick of me off the top of the head. You know, it's more conflated than that, Mike. It's deeper than that. We haven't even got to our MC ratings because we've gotten into this serious conversation about it, and it's real. But it's like the best off the top of the dome I can just give you is that, like, what the miseducation of Lauryn Hill was for me was a blueprint of what black music was going to be and become, and I don't think we've done that. I don't think she did it either, and I think that's why, Mike, if I ever had a personal gripe with her, it was that I think of her on the highest regard and highest terms, and I look at her not coming out with music as a tipping point in black music for us, not in a good way.
Well, what do you think about, based on what you saw at that Kanye West listening event, do you think that he's been able to kind of do some things that some of his contemporaries in hip-hop haven't done by kind of pulling generations and people with all kinds of backgrounds into his art?
he does a great job of doing it. He just happens to be such a what's the word?
A rock star? He moves like a rock star. He does.
Has a figure. He touches so many buttons of people. Okay, so this is what I'm saying is that like, Mariah don't come off as confrontational. Whitney, Mike, Janet, Prince the only confrontational one out the bunch. There is what Tupac talked about, like when Kendrick's doing that interview with Tupac at the end of the Pimp a Butterfly, where he talking about how like this will beat you down and they'll take the fire up out of you.
Right.
Yeah, that's real.
I think that the people that you name.
Mike, go look at Whitney Houston's first 3 album covers in succession and tell me they didn't whitewash my girl.
Oh, definitely. No, we know that. I think that Whitney, Michael, and Mariah, they moved like pop stars, whereas Kanye moves as a rock star. Like, I'm going to shake some shit up. Like, he's out here to do that. You know what I mean? Like, he could say all the right stuff. He could do all of those things, but it takes away from the root of what he came here to do. He came in the door saying unpopular stuff.
And this is what, and us as black people, we have to understand that being the people's champion doesn't mean being the champion. It's like, do I love Mary J. Blige more than I love Mariah Carey? I sure do, and I always will. Mary's first 4 albums like equal the sales of Mariah's first album, right?
But I think Mary's...
People understand that? No, people need to understand that. Mary's first 4 albums, album-wise, as far as the unit, as far as the times when it was coming out, I'm sure it's different now, Mike. Mariah Carey sold 10 million records out the gate. Mary J. didn't hit 10 million records till she was releasing All That I Can Say damn near. This is
what I'm gonna say to that though. I feel like what works for Mariah wouldn't work for Mary, right? And I think that it just so happens that what Mariah is good at does sell a lot of records, whereas what Mary's good at might not sell as much, but it'll have you in the hearts of the people longer than what Mariah does.
But this is what I mean too, and I say this respectfully. It's like, well, Mariah Carey light skin, they whitewash Mike, they whitewash Whitney, Prince light skin, Janet about the only one they didn't get their goddamn hands on, Mike.
Jay Short with the super chat says Jay is the greatest front runner in hip hop history. He needs to win. He needs to win in his sales because he doesn't handle adversity well. He stumbled after Ether, losing Dame, Ye being more popular and modern rap. I think he responded to Ether very well. I mean, not the response. I mean, his album. I don't mean Super Ugly. Let me rephrase that. I think that, making the Blueprint 2 and then quickly making the Black Album and then kind of vanishing, I think he handled that part very well. And I think he rapped at a very high level for those 2 efforts and got out of the way of that 50 Cent wave that was coming too. Think that was very smart.
What do you think, Mike, is the answer as far as these numbers? I mean, I know you've been asking me questions about what I think and what I feel, but let's be solutions oriented. Is there a viable solution to the things that we're thinking about?
I think I'm usually not a pie in the sky type of. Go ahead.
Hold on, Mike. I don't want to stop you short before you make your comment. And I want to phrase this way.
Okay.
Like, you understand, if Nelly and Ja Rule were to come out right now, who were like the biggest selling black artists of their time, they wouldn't be doing no numbers right now either. So there is like a deeper issue going on.
I think they probably would. I mean, we look at Drake, right? Drake does numbers.
No, they wouldn't. If they would, Mike, they know. Trust me, both of them dudes, they wouldn't be doing stuff like Dancing with the Stars and stuff like that.
They're not 21 years old anymore. I think a 21, 25-year-old Nelly and Ja Rule come out doing what they did, they would do well. I mean, I think Cisco would do great.
I'm talking about them as grown artists now, having sold and gone multi-platinum time and times over. They wouldn't do no numbers like that right now either, like if they were to come out right now.
But I just don't think... I mean, I just went over what Kid Rock and Limp Bizkit and even Christina Aguilera were doing in their prime. If they came out with stuff now, they're not going to sell those units. Making that type of impact and doing those type of numbers, that's a young person's game, man. It is what it is. Now, as far as what to do about it, I look at people like Wu-Tang, right? Wu-Tang did numbers when they came out. And they didn't go out there and, be water anything down, right? I think you're just going to need a super talented young artist that's fresh and doing something new that people haven't heard. That's what's going to be that, next wave and do numbers. And somebody, you got to be marketable. Obviously, Wu-Tang had Method Man on their side for the marketability. I think you're just going to have to see some real stars walk in the building. You don't see Snoop Dogg's come in the building every day. And everybody's not going to be a platinum artist. And that's fine. I just think that you can't force it. You know what I'm saying? Like, when it happens, it happens. I don't think there's a formula that would turn, and I say this respectfully because I like this artist. It's not a formula that's going to just turn Joey Badass into an artist that's, doing Drake numbers. It's just not going to happen like that. And, certain artists are just going to do a certain amount of numbers. I think consistency with your with your audience is key, right? And I think we just haven't seen that person outside of Drake that's just going to do numbers like that. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, if KD4 is excellent, is right now Nas's prime? No, I mean,
well, I told you he's having a second prime that's kind of making us rethink things. And so that's why, part of even why I'm having these conversations is because, well, quite frankly, this is the first time that I feel like somebody, not just, hold on, Mike.
Eric
not
Terrell,
just like,
go ahead.
It's not just a hip hop thing.
Right.
Like, I can't think of anybody in music this late that made albums this good. And so part of even why it makes me think about these things in the numbers is because of that. Because it's like, we really haven't had somebody like him who in his prime, quote unquote, was considered to be a titan and one of the greatest to do it, come back around and do stuff like this.
Well,
we just haven't seen it happen. And so it makes me want to address these things. And quite frankly, these are issues that we have been having in the Black artist community long before, this KD run popped up. I told you, Nas is just a litmus test for a lot of the talking points about the stuff that I'm saying that I feel about the music business. Because like I told you, if it's getting done to him, it's getting done to him on this run, it really shows you what the music business is not and everybody's fair game.
Well, this is what it is too, man. Like, I think when you have a demographic, Nas is 49, right? And a lot of the people who came up on Nas, who didn't just go back and check, are like 40 plus. And sometimes when people get to that age bracket, they're not listening to hip hop as much as they used to. I mean, you said it yourself, like, hip hop's not your go-to, when you get in the ride all the time, right? And we cover hip hop, so we're probably listening to hip hop a lot more than, the average person in our age bracket. But certain people, they're not listening to hip hop in the way that they used to listen to it in their 20s. And they're definitely not checking for new music when they're doing it. They're going back to the stuff that's from their more, formative years. So you got that part going against, certain artists that are at a certain age bracket. But the youth, that's all they're listening to. Somebody who's 20, 22, like, they're listening to hip hop. And the artists that they're listening to heavy, they don't come out of rotation. And those things get multiplied, and it turns into a situation where, 21 Savage's feature with Nas is the highest streaming thing, because that's bringing generations together. And you mentioned Michael. I mean, think about when Thriller came out. He was 24, 25 years old, right? And so he had a young audience fan base, and he had that fan base that grew up with him as a Jackson 5 member, and possibly a fan base of people who were just Motown fans too. So you're bringing a whole bunch of people together in a whole bunch of different demographics, ages, cultures, and hip-hop artists, especially at a certain age bracket, they're just not getting that kind of reach. And they're definitely not getting the radio play because you got all these old school hip hop stations that don't play any new music that any of these old school artists are putting out. You know what I mean? So it's like, where's the outlet? And I guess
No,
that's
I
what
got
we're
you.
here to do,
Hey,
you
Mike.
know?
Give me 2 minutes. I need to get off this phone because it's dying and call you from my laptop.
Okay, cool. Let me get to Eric Terrell super chat. He says, Coop, Nas is doing fine. The 90s is over. Move on. Let's see. Shoot, I lost this real quick. Jay Short with the super chat says, I agree with what you're saying, Coop, about black people not being enough to do those numbers, but those other communities usually wait to see if black people co-sign someone first before they buy in. You're right. I think that that's the important part where the black audience actually comes in at, because you can't just skip over the black audience. You actually have to have a foundation with the black audience. We saw that with Jack Harlow, most definitely, because when you try to skip over and the black audience hasn't co-signed first, everybody else not going to jump on the bandwagon. Leroy Green with the super chat says, the X factor with the white audience is that they bought a lot of those early PE, Cube, and Wu-Tang records because there's a section of them that wants the real. I think the Sonics, too, when you think about the type of production that PE, Cube, and Wu had, I think sonically, that was attractive. The message was attractive there, too. But also with Wu-Tang, the lyricism, it was something that, could be studied. So I could see, how audiences kind of connected with that. Uncle Fran with the super chat says, Mike, I was saying the only 3 artists have been able to do those albums, the album deals with corporations. Jay, Adele, and Rihanna. Oh, you're talking about leverage in that sense. Gotcha. I mean, Jay is a hustler, man. He made it make sense. I think all those deals are smart. Brian with the super chat says, you don't think Drake hit those top tier numbers? Drake is the number 1 artist in the world. I think he's probably the biggest star in the world. Let's see. Cooper's coming back in. I don't know if you were watching while you were gone, but Jay Short brought up a good point. He was like, the black audience has to co-sign artists before the white audience jumps on them. And that's the truth. I mean, you have to have a foundation with the black audience as a black artist. And, I mean, we saw that even with Jack Harlow when they tried to kind of skip over that and make him a superstar. It didn't work. Because, the core audience didn't.
And by we, I mean, mostly you had something to do with that, Mike. That's what I'm saying about us really impacting the culture. Like, because you pulled up, like, hold on. You're like, Coop, how we just going to let them do that? And I'm
well,
like,
see, no. This is the thing, man. What they tried to do, it was devious, Coop. They tried to slide him in between these big releases. You had, Pusha T was dropping, Future was dropping that next week, and then they slid him in there. And then after that, it was Kendrick Lamar. I'm like, wait a minute. How did this guy just get slid in between Pusha T, Future, and Kendrick Lamar? We got to talk about this. And we talked about it and the people wasn't with it. And Rolling Stone put out that wild article, too, that we kind of documented. So they did it to themselves. They tried to skip over the core audience without actually doing the work. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that.
It was the wild article that got me. Because I knew the music wasn't going to be there. Because the music hasn't been there yet. I knew the music wasn't going to be there. It's like, so now we just going to lie for him, though, too?
Well, according to DJ Academic, he had the numbers and the inside info. He was saying that it underperformed by 150,000 units. They had a projection out there that, he fell very short of. And my thing is, what was that projection based on? I guess it was based on the bogusness of, some of the smoke and mirrors that they were trying to put out there. Because I remember he got on Ebro's Hot 97 morning show, and Ebro said, yo, man, this is going to be the last time you get here. You're here, because usually after artists blow up and get big, they get too big to come back. And they were already kind of declaring him as a superstar before the people even said it. That was the mistake. You gotta let the music
make you
do
a superstar first. That's why when I tell you that Snoop is rap's first big superstar, is because he's the first guy that I heard where it was like, who is that?
Yeah.
How did he do that?
Yeah.
Everybody before him, there was some sort of factor that came in. It's like, no, ladies love Cool J because LL Cool J looked good and was in great shape. You know what I'm saying? These other dudes could really rhyme. Like the other guys that you were hearing, rhyme, they were rhyming at the top of their level. Snoop wasn't necessarily like a Rakim or KRS-One or Cool G rap on the mic. He wasn't that. He had it, Mike. He's the first one that really had it. So when you heard him, creeping with me as I move through the hall, it's like, who the fuck is that? That's Snoop Doggy Dogg. It's like, oh shit, I like Snoop. That's that nigga. That's that nigga.
Basketball Truth of the Super Chat says, there are Nas fans saying that KD3 is better than Reasonable Doubt. What do you guys think?
No, that's just absurd.
I don't think that. No.
That's just wrong.
And it would be
wrong.
too early to even say
Hold
something
on, real
like
talk,
that.
real talk. And I don't know, fam, but I think Nas might tell you, be like, hold on, they need to chill. They might want to relax. They might want to relax.
Reasonable Doubt's one of the greatest hip-hop albums ever made.
It is. I mean, Mike, it's so great that it's like, even sometimes, there aren't 20 albums better than Reasonable Doubt. I don't think there's 20 albums. If there is, it's right about 20.
Yeah, it's around 2025-ish, I would say.
It's
Yeah,
2025-ish, right?
Yeah. Jay Short with
When
the
I said
Super Chat.
KD3 was top 50, Mike, I meant 48, 49, 50.
Jay Short with the Super Chat says, elephant in the room. Shouldn't Kendrick be that diamond-selling artist with all the promo and the critical acclaim?
What makes you think he's not? Good Kid, Mad City is still selling hundreds of thousands of copies a week. Here's what I'll tell you.
We
Mike.
never hear about his numbers, though. We always hear about Drake's numbers, but we don't
He's
hear
doing
about
numbers.
his...
Kendrick's doing numbers.
I could
Good Kid,
imagine.
Mad City is still doing numbers. And you want to know why? And how about this? The artists that we have taken issue with the most, Mike, have two of the three most real fanatic fan bases, Kendrick's fan base and Eminem's fan base.
Who would you say is Kendrick's fan base?
I don't know where these motherfuckers came from.
And when you said that, I'm like, if
don't
you
know where
ask
they came
me
from.
who Eminem fan base is, I know exactly what that is. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ask me Nas's fan base, I know exactly where that is. But who is Kendrick's fan base really? I know
Mike, give
J.
me 2
Cole's
seconds.
fan base because J. Cole's fan base is loud. They really
No.
are. And they support heavy.
Cole moving numbers too.
Yeah, of course he
doing
is.
numbers.
Of course he is.
Give me 1 second because I can't see shit.
Okay.
It's been a long day.
Peter Parks of the Super Chat says, there's a lot of pay for play, all smoke and mirrors. Yes, sir. He's been listening to the show long enough. You already know, Peter Parks. I feel like I'm missing a Super Chat. Oh, no, that's it. Oh, here we go. 36 Chambers of the Super Chat says, Mr. Morale is doing numbers too, even though it's mid. I can believe it. I mean, it's probably one of the higher selling albums of last year. But I don't really particularly know who is the Kendrick fan base. You know what I'm saying? Like, I knew what it was when it was Good Kid, Mad City. I think I kind of got lost in it when it was To Pimp a Butterfly because I liked that effort. And a lot of the people who liked Good Kid, Mad City didn't love that effort. And I think that's kind of it's similar to Outkast, right? And I think Outkast is different because Outkast had a home base, right, with the South. But I think Kendrick's changed so much from effort to effort, it's hard for me to identify his actual fan base. You know what I mean? Because the people that fucked with Good Kid, Mad City Heavy really didn't fuck with To Pimp a Butterfly like that. And the people that fucked with To Pimp a Butterfly like that, think that one's the one, and everything else is kind of like, okay, but it's not that one,
Everybody in Outkast's fan base has their first 3 albums.
Mm-hmm.
The core fan base.
Yeah, definitely.
There are not new Outkast fans until Stankonia. It's the same damn fans. It's
You're
Southern
right.
whether we talking shit about Dre or like what they doing musically or not. No, same fan base for Southern Playalistic, AT Aliens, and Aquemini. Same
But
fan
you
base.
have that one fan base that puts Southern Playalistic over everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter.
I was part of that contingent for a while.
And you got that boom bap fan base that puts AT Aliens over everything. Where it's like, no, this is the best that they're rapping. This is where they're not too far out. I like this album. You know what I'm saying?
And then the music lovers say Aquemini.
Exactly. That's me. Rigger Raw with the Super Chat says, cool. The first superstar was LL Cool J. Get over it. I'm with you, Rigger Raw. It's LL Cool J. And
Okay,
and if we
fine.
want to talk about
No.
superstar on another level, you're not gonna like to hear this. It's Puff Daddy.
First of all, it's not true. I don't know what you're talking about. Puff ain't nowhere in this conversation.
Puff Daddy was
But-
everywhere. Like he was with Godzilla.
Respectfully,
He was dancing.
respectfully, Mike. No, respectfully. Since cats want to do it, and I don't want to do because I love them, but I'm about to go ahead and do them now. Mike, go ahead and pull up the numbers for Bad and Radio and Bigger and Deffer.
Well, if we
'Cause I
want to
bet
go
you they
there,
didn't- Mike, I bet you that they didn't all even out. I bet you those 3 albums didn't outsell The Chronic. You don't even want to touch Doggy Style. I bet you Deep Cover, the single, probably did more numbers than 2 of those albums. Want to bet? He
Well-
is Raps for a Superstar.
Well,
He the nigga that started moving.
let
No,
me
Snoop
say
the one
this.
that started moving numbers. He is Raps for a Superstar.
well, let me say this, Coop. Does Snoop have a single that sold more than "I'll Be Missing You" from Puff Daddy? No.
Facts.
Mad
But hold
Max
on.
with the super chat
Listen to what I'm
says,
about to say. Listen to what I'm about to say. Does Puff have anything like Doggy Style or The Chronic? Then don't give me that numbers because Snoop got Puff numbers.
"Oh, let's not act
Snoop
like
got Puff numbers. Snoop got Diamond Platinum.
Let's not
Doggy
act
Style
like
sold 5
no.
million records and they
Let's
killing
not
that
act
year.
like Puff Daddy ain't got No Way Out. Great album.
It's a nice
Sold a lot of
collaboration
records,
album, Mike.
too.
It's an excellent collaboration album. He has a lot of people to thank for all those plaques. He
I
got
mean,
Biggie to thank.
I mean, if
Got
we keep
Mace
it
to
real,
thank,
there's a lot of
Jay.
people on Doggy Style too.
Mike, don't even play like that. We all know who the star.
Well, that's
Doggy
what the
Style
source
was.
said. That's
We
what the
know
source
who the
said.
star of the Chronic
When the
is.
source
God,
gave,
heaven.
when the source gave Doggy Style 4 mics, what did they say? They had a lot of people on it. I disagree with them, but that's been said too about that album.
That's funny. Were they saying that shit on Volume 2 when they gave it 4.5 mics? You see how they
They
fit
were
the
not.
narrative to the conversation?
The East Coast bias.
East Coast bias.
Mad Max in the super chat says Dot Worldwide hasn't sold 10 million copies. He's at 9 million. Him and J. Cole combined have sold less records worldwide than Nas. Interesting. Andre Shashir with the super chat says,
That's not true. Those numbers are wrong.
you got to
That's
go
just not
find the
true.
numbers to
That's
refute
not
them.
true. I don't know where the hell.
Andre
you got that
Shashir says, Ice from Joe Budden podcast said that he has Wayne at number 2 behind Jay. He's an older head. I definitely disagree. When people put Wayne so high, I want to ask, what exactly is it for? Now, I love Wayne's work ethic. I think Wayne did his thing. His feature run is crazy. But if we want to talk about body of work, album for album, and even if we went single for single, not talking about features and things like that, why would you have him so high? I mean, because I just think that, in my opinion, and I don't want to be a hypocrite here because I say the same thing about Eminem and people like Ludacris, right? I think that Wayne's limited. You know what I mean? There's so many does he even still tell stories in his raps? There's so many things that he hasn't done, lyrically, that other MCs have done, and stories that he hasn't told, subject matters he hasn't handled, for me to put him over certain people. You know what I mean?
You want to know what he is? He's really all-time great, but he's somebody, when you sit him next to the all-time greats, you start seeing his gaps.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. So, how many classic songs does Rakim have where he don't even have to curse on the record? Sometimes I don't even know if
Countless.
Wayne can make it through 8 bars. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
No. You put some of his seminal moments, quote unquote, go sit them next to KRS-One seminal moments. You
Right.
feel what I'm saying? It's like, no, he's all-time great, but when you put him in that mix of all-time greats, you see his gaps clearly. Mike, go pull up his storytelling catalog and sit him next to even an Eminem or a Kendrick, damn a Nas or a Scarface.
No,
or a
that's real.
Ghostface.
I mean, because
It's
even
real.
if we want to talk about, you brought up KRS-One, where's his You Must Learn? You know what I'm saying? He's limited in that way. And when you have that many gaps, you can't be that high. Now, what he's great at, he's great at. It's like saying somebody it's like me saying, and I say this respectfully, I'm from the A, I'll never disrespect. It's like me saying that Dominique Wilkins is the second best basketball player of all time. because he has incredible dunking ability and incredible scoring ability. It's not enough. It's not enough.
He was my favorite player growing up, Mike. I don't even know if he's a top 5 small forward all time anymore.
No. I mean, because then you got the winning thing in there too. But again, not to break him apart, but I'm just saying, if, like you said, when you start splicing Wayne up, you know what I'm saying, with the people who are in this conversation, there's a lot of things that he's missing.
Yeah,
And you can't be that high if you're missing that many things. That's why we always talk about Jay and Nas so much, because they fill in so many of those.
They fill all the gaps.
They fill in all the gaps. They've done it all. And they continue to do it. And they do it at a high level.
Now, here's what I'm saying. It's like, if you want to say Wayne's better than, like, maybe a Jadakiss or a Pusha T overall, no, you could probably say something like that. But it's like, when you start having a Biggie, a Jay, a Nas,
KRS, Rakim.
KRS, Rakim. Oh no.
No.
He's Chuck D, Ice Cube. No.
Yeah.
He's gonna fall on the other side. He's gonna fall back from all those dudes because when you sit him next to him, what those guys do so great and so epically starts coming into clear view, and it makes you question: does he really belong here? I know skill wise he belongs here, but I say this respectfully: like, what's Wayne's deepest song? Because I still think it might be "Fuck the World." That's Off the Block is hot, Mike.
I was gonna say either that or I Miss My Dogs or something, but again,
that's off the Carter One.
What's the record that
What record has he made?
I was gonna say Receipt. It's kind of his song Cry, but and even when you do that, it's not at the level of that record. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to be able to compare something when he went in that chamber and say it is on the level of those people that you're putting him up there with, and it's not.
And also, too, respectfully, Mike, he would have the weakest album of all the great MCs in the classic catalog conversation. He doesn't have anything that's close to Illmatic, Reasonable Doubt, Death Certificate, Doggy Style. Like, he doesn't have an album like that.
Criminal Minded, Paid in Full.
Right. He doesn't have that.
What are we doing?
He just doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, what are we doing? Like the Carter 1, 2, or 3, no matter which one is your favorite. I think You and Me are the Carter 2. None of the Carters are like those albums we just named.
And honestly, you know, I respect the work ethic and the longevity, but if we look at filling in all those gaps and all those spots, Cole and Kendrick are more suitable for an argument like that than Wayne is.
How about this? Do you think the Carter 2 is better than Stankonia? Because I think the Carter 2 is his best work, and I'm not sure if it's better than Outkast's 4th best album.
I don't think it is.
Me neither. So it's like, your best album's not better than Stankonia. You gonna walk over there with Jay and Big and Pop and Nas?
No. He doesn't have anything that's even comparable with the Blueprint of the Black Album. Like, if we went song for song, like, he just doesn't.
I might like the Carter 2 more than the Black Album.
If we could go song for song, there's no way the Carter 2 is winning that.
Right. No, Mike, I was just thinking about it. It's like, no, because here's the thing about it. It's like, Best Rapper Alive might be the best record on the Carter 2. That's track 7. Threat is track 7 on the Black Album. I don't know if that's the best track on there, but I know Threat's better than Best Rapper Alive.
It is.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Jay Short Super Chat says, isn't MC Hammer rap's first superstar? He laid out the blueprint for the crossover, including Diddy's sampling style, yes, and also the endorsement deals and stuff too. Hammer kind of was the first to really go super hard on those. He had a cartoon. Did he have a cartoon before Kid and Play did?
I don't know.
Now, I know, and I also know, and I'm sure people are going to say this in the chat, Curtis Blow had a Sprite deal first. I know that. But you know what I mean?
The Hammer thing might be more valid than the LL thing.
I'm fine with that.
Because
he took it somewhere else. Yeah. I think LL at that time, he was like a superstar for rap.
Like,
whereas MC Hammer was just a cultural icon. Yeah. Go ahead.
Right. There's nothing wrong with being rap's first star. That's what LL really is to me. He's our first star. His first one's like, no, that guy's star.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then for me, Snoop is the level up. But I be on some real dude rap shit, so I don't be like including Hammer in those conversations. But that's not necessarily fair to Hammer either. And so like
Hammer's some real rap. I think Hammer was just the last old school style MC to kind of blow up. Like, he had that Run DMC type of flow.
Told you they put me in the mix is my shit, Mike.
Shit's crazy. Put me in the mix was crazy. My joint was not
Turn
please
This
hammer
Mother
don't
Out?
hurt him. Huh?
Turn This Mother Out.
Turn This Mother Out was fire too. But
Yeah, Turn This Mother Out was fire.
yeah, I remember being in like early elementary school. Nah, that's not what.
Remember the
one
video
I'm
to
talking
Turn This
about.
Mother Out when he came up on the stage and got busy?
Mm-hmm.
No, it was a whole thing. It was a whole thing.
MC Hammer was the shit.
Hammer was the man.
He took it like with Too Legit though. I think that was where it was like, is this even rap anymore? You know what I mean?
Right.
But
I'm like, I ain't even gonna lie. I was up in there like,
nah, man. See, I'm tripping, man. I'm like, yo, man, what record am I talking about?
well, wait, hold on. When did Hammer really blow up and reach that level? Because I feel like You Can't Touch This is that level, and I feel like Deep Cover has already come out by the time You Can't Touch This has come out. So I might stick to my Snoop.
I think that was I think that was still before it. Hold up.
When did You Can't Touch This come out? Because that's really when Hammer became a superstar.
Oh, Let's Get It Started is what I'm thinking about.
Let's Get It
That was
Started.
my shit.
Ooh,
Let's Get It Started.
That
Hard.
was a banger. Let's Get It Started was
Yeah.
a banger too. Hammer had some bangers. Hammer had stadium flow. Now he might have been the first guy with some real stadium flow.
Now I think what Can't Touch This was like 1990.
Is it 90?
Yep.
Ooh.
Early.
I mean, Deep Cover's 91, Mike. It's not like yeah. Ain't Deep Cover 91?
But I don't think Snoop turns into a superstar into Doggy Style to 93. Or if you want to be generous and say 92 with G Thing and all of that, but he's
I
kind
just
of
never seen a nigga that had everybody dressing like him and acting like him without a damn album out. That was superstar shit. It's like everybody wanted to be Snoop. Snoop didn't even have a damn album
that
out.
was the first highly anticipated album that I can remember from somebody who, because usually they hit you with the album like right away. This one was bubbling. Andre Shashir with the super chat says Jay might need to start writing instead of coming off the dome while listening to his beats. What do y'all think? I think that might be what he's doing though, Andre. Maybe that's why he's not in pocket right now, because when he's coming off, he's actually listening to the beat and he's right in there with the beat. I think Jay might actually be writing right now.
And I don't know if I like that for him, Mike, because I tell you the truth. It's like, I don't write anymore until I have the verses like freestyled and like kind of in my head. Then I'll start writing like our cypher verse.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't start writing that shit till I had about 10 bars memorized from freestyling. Like I'm riding around saying like, be like, oh no, I'm gonna do that. So I don't even know how healthy it is for him to be writing. It's like, and because part of the reason why I don't write anymore like that, because I don't got time to. I know that nigga don't have time. He got time to write all these bars. It's like, man, I need to have 12 bars in my head before I even think about writing some shit down. I don't play like that no more.
My day is action packed. I can't imagine what his day to day looks like.
Well, I'm saying, you got time to write bars? Like, you pissing me off with that. It's like, I don't have time to write bars. I'll be in the car freestyling all this shit we about to do. I just started writing it down.
James with the super chat says, guys, who had the best verse on Jay-Z and Nas' Success song? I think Jay. I think Jay always seems to have the best verse because, like you said, he's a competitor in that way.
I think lyrically that that Nas's verse is better on Success, but Jay's flow is so disgusting on there. I'm gonna say that again. It's one of his more disgusting flows. That's a Black Album flow he pulled out. He pulled out a Black Album flow for that record.
Yeah, his flow on the Black Album is sick. I think on the Blueprint too as well. You know, I was just listening to the Blueprint too. I was listening to Fuck All Night, right? He was just skating on that record, man. Like, and that's a record that people don't even listen to. He was like, what'd he say? I snapped for a second, I'm back, no question, and I walk with a cane. Well, everything he said before that, too. It was like, got to get my back in perspective. It said, mommy's calling her boyfriend, a toy friend. We were supposed to hook up and have a blast. She called me her emergency dick in the glass. Had to laugh for a second. Had to stop myself, get my back in perspective. I'm like, yo, this dude is going in on this album.
It's like a little modern day Cashmere Thoughts talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I walk with a cane, ain't no half stepping.
Yep, I remember
and on that
yep.
note, Iceberg Slim is back to rock a boat. Come on.
See, I don't listen to those records because that album wasn't good. But I need to go back and listen to that. I remember those
snapping
bars.
on that
I
album.
remember those bars.
Some people hate him. It's hard,
very
too.
high on the Blueprint, too.
I like the Blueprint, too. But see, I like him because he's rhyming on there. Because if you listen to, like, let's just say Volume 3, right? And Volume 3 got some bangers on it. the way he's rapping on Volume 3 versus the way he's rapping on the Blueprint 2, man, he's stepped it all the way back up. It's like he's trying to find that Volume 1 mixture of being able to rhyme at a high level and still make palatable music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, now Mike, he did take a big L that did have something to do with the whole changing of the rap style back to being some rapping ass nigga again. It's not a coincidence that it's Ether happened and then this rap he's super rapper again all of a sudden. He don't want to dumb it down for his dollars. No, Mike, all it took for him, I dumb it down for my dollars till you lost, and then you up the ante all the way back up and rhyming his ass off on the Blueprint.
But you know what? I give him a lot of credit for that because he's a competitor, he's a survivor. And most people, after taking a bomb like Ether from somebody like Nas, they would have been done. You know what I mean?
This multiple times. If it's literally anybody other than Jay, at who Jay was at the time, you understand their career is over.
They're done.
Done.
I mean, can we be perfectly honest? I know you and I started off talking about Prodigy. The takeover took Prodigy down a few notches.
It's never the same.
And that's Prodigy. You know what I'm saying?
Never the same. But respectfully, Mike.
Yeah.
And I love P. P wasn't never Nas, even when he was at his peak. I told you it's different.
Do you think
what I'm saying is that
do you think he was an A-lister though? Maybe not top of the list to where Nas is, but was he A or top of B? Bottom of A, top of B?
You could put him at the bottom of A. I'll say, how about this? Let's go to 96, which is a year after the infamous and Hell on Earth. I'm very, very comfortable. Who are the MCs better than Prodigy in 1996? Because Jay's not better than Prodigy in 96. So it'd be Big. It'd be Pac. You want to pull up the rhymes to Infamous and Hell on Earth versus Reasonable Doubt?
I thought we did that. No, we actually did the Infamous. And you know what?
Right.
I'll give you that because at least in 96, Prodigy had the Infamous and Hell on Earth. But he's also in a group. So
we know where the bar work coming from, Mike. No disrespect to have it. Also, Trife Life 2 is the shit. Mm-hmm. Nas is better in 96. Pac is better in 96. Big is better in 96. Mike, I think Lauryn Hill is a better MC in 96.
That I disagree with you on, but she's incredible.
Okay.
Because if we're going to give him the Infamous and that, I don't think her output on the score matches that. Sorry.
I think her output on the score matches what he did on Hell on Earth, respectively, for what they bring to the table for their style of MC.
But then in 1996, Shook Ones is still out here in these streets.
I'll give you that. Yeah. Okay, so right now we're comfortable in saying that it's okay, so Nas, Big, and Pac are better. Is Andre better? I think we proved that with the ATL's Hell on Earth thing that's no.
No.
What about Redman? Is Redman better than Prodigy in 96?
I think so.
Okay, so that's
you got
4.
Muddy Waters.
What about Black Thought from the Roots? Is Thought better than Prodigy in 96? On Illadelph?
Believe it or not, I don't think so.
I don't think so either, believe it or not, as much as I love Illadelph and as much as I love Thought. I don't think he's quite where Prodigy is. It's parsing, but yeah. So we only got, right now, Mike, I want you to hear this. We got, in 1996, we got Big, Pac, Nas, and Redman better than Prodigy. Is Raekwon or Ghost better in 96?
Ghost isn't, but I was going to say maybe Ray. Maybe.
And I'm going to tell you what, I thought that too, Mike, except for there's this song called Nighttime Vultures, and I swear Ray is epic on there, but the verse by Prodigy on Nighttime Vultures. And this is a year after, and this is not Purple Tape year, this is year after Purple Tape. Are you sure Ray better?
I'm not sure, honestly. Let me ask you this. What do you think about Method Man? No?
With what material? Okay. Outside of I'll Be There For You and some hook work and some method, you know what I'm saying? Okay. No, I can't say that because there's not enough evidence to say so. So in 1996, which might be rap's heaviest year, he's a top 5 MC.
Mm-hmm.
So when people be like, you putting him up too high, listen to the people that just were above him in rap's arguably heaviest. No, that's rap's deepest year ever, Mike. He's a top 5 MC in rap's deepest. I feel comfortable with him and Ray being tied at 5th after the 4 guys you named.
Yeah, because Ray's coming off the purple tape, and he
Ooh, hold
is
on.
running shit on Iron Man.
Actually, I forgot about Iron Man.
Yeah.
It might no, he faded Ray on Nighttime Vultures. I can't do that. That was 96. Nighttime Vultures is 96. Prodigy has the better verse. They're on record together that year. So I'm gonna give P that edge. Scarface.
Okay. Face is face.
Face is face. And The Diary was 95, right?
I thought The Diary was 94.
94?
You know, I think
What's 96 from Face?
I know he
Is that
came out.
Untouchable?
Nah, that's 97. But I know he didn't really take any breaks like that. I think it's because Untouchable's 97.
That's the one after The Diary, so he did take a break. That was his break.
Yeah. That's
So
crazy.
yeah, I don't would Face count? If Face would count, I'll take Face over Prodigy, but if not, Prodigy's top 5 in 96. What does that say? Like, how about this? I'll tell you some real shit. Like, and this is what I mean about how Prodigy's special and people don't realize it. You couldn't put Kendrick or Cole in that climate and they'd be top 5 in 96. Don't get that fucked up.
John Green with the super chat says, didn't Nas win a Grammy back in 1997 for Big Willie Style? Nas wrote Chasing Forever, Yes, Yes, Y'all, and Getting Jiggy with it.
He wrote Miami too. I think he wrote 5 tracks on Big Willie Style, if memory serves.
Big Willie Style's a huge album. That
Mike.
Now that record, y'all want?
Hold
I mean, it's funny when I just made that Puffy argument. No Way Out sold 7 million records. You want to see what Big Willie Style sold?
Probably 8. But here's what I'll tell you, Mike.
I think more than that.
Mike, white people love Will Smith.
Yeah, at least they used to.
What Jay say on Blackout? Ghetto nigga. Putting up what? Will Smith numbers. Why he saying that, Mike?
Volume 3 still sold more albums than Will Smith. Okay, 9 times platinum.
I told you 8, but yeah.
36 Chambers with the super chat says, chat has a point. Will Smith was a star too. And see, we talking about Will. People forgot that he was really a hip hop legend and tend to reject his music. People tend to reject his music, but his music stardom launched him. I think that this is the thing too.
You know
with
how
Will
I feel
that
about
makes,
Will.
Yeah, this
You know
is what
how I
makes
feel about
this
Will.
is what makes Will different though. Will became a superstar, a superstar based on television and film.
In movies.
Yeah, and he
not
came
rap.
back to rap and did Big Willie Style, and that's what got him to that 9 million because he's coming off of Independence Day and all of that stuff.
Actually, you want to know what? Like,
Even though parents just don't understand, I think that was the first Grammy. He wasn't
89.
a superstar. He was a notable name, but
so I will tell you this. You want to know what his superstar moment might be? It might have been when he came back and did Summertime, though.
no,
Because
definitely.
he got embraced when he did that record by the hip hop community in a way that he never got embraced before, even though he won the Grammy. And that's when we knew he was a superstar. Big Willie Style was just like, it'd been a rap. Game had been a rap by the time Big Willie Style came
That's
out.
super duper stardom right there. Juanito Garcia with the super chat says Hammer was the first hip hop star. Hip hop artist. P.O.P. And even when what Q-Tip said on Check the Rhyme, rap is not pop, if you call it that, then stop, that's directed at Hammer and stuff. Now, and again, I don't like throwing Vanilla Ice into the Hammer conversation because I don't think Ice had the longevity or anything that Hammer did because, like, we went down Hammer's resume. He got records. But people were trying to kind of conflate those two as well. And, Vanilla Ice is not Hammer.
So, Mike, I think today, instead of adding people to the list, because we're at 38 with Freddie.
Yeah.
Hold on. Finish your thought. Did I cut
I
you
was just
short?
going to finish the super chat because I know we got to get up out of here in a second. It's like 8:30.
It is, and we've had a great dialogue and some wonderful conversation. But about the Lil Wayne comment and about the Prodigy comment, I think we should slide them out of their spaces and put them through the ringer before we go. And that'll be our MC rating for the day. And so we're not going to add any new names, but we'll see where they really fall because you feel like Prodigy may be too high. He's at 18.
I feel like with Prodigy, we're gonna have a real discussion. We might want to wait until Friday to do that. I don't think
No,
that's
because
gonna
we
be
got to
real
do an
quick.
actual album review on Friday. That's why I want to do the Prodigy Wayne thing now, because we actually do have to talk about Hits album on
Yeah,
Friday.
we are gonna talk about Hits album.
Okay, pick one, because I think Wayne's more of a problem to rate than go through this than Prodigy is. If you really want to know the truth.
I want to save Prodigy for Friday. Yeah, let's do Wayne now.
That's fine, but I'll tell you what, like, I don't. If you think he's too high, it's like I don't see how. You think Busta Rhymes is better than Prodigy? Busta's at 25. DMX is at 23. Do you really think they're better MCs than
I
Prodigy?
think that they have that individual output. See, the thing that's interesting about Prodigy, he has a solo career, but his strongest stuff is in the group, right? Whereas the people that you just mentioned, they always held it dolo.
And I get that, Mike. But his strongest stuff with the group is more classic than their classic shit, and that's X included. And it's no disrespect to X.
You
It's
think
like,
that
no.
his stuff is more classic than X? I think a few
Mike.
of their records are, but I
Mike.
think collectively, I don't know about that.
I mean, first of all, I would still tell you Quiet Storm's better than Get At Me, dog. Just song for song, just straight up and down.
I disagree
Straight up
with
and down,
that.
Quiet Storm's. But where?
I
Is the
disagree.
beat better? Hold on. Is the beat for Get At Me, dog better? Well, no. Are the rhymes better? It's like, well, no. Is the hook better? It's like maybe, might be a tie, but it's not a better record actually when you think about it. The impact is there, but it's not no fucking Quiet Storm. DMX don't have a. That's what I mean about how special Prodigy is. It's like, you know how I feel about X. X ain't make nothing like Quiet Storm.
So you got Prodigy over DMX.
We have it here on the list over DMX. DMX is
Yeah, that's
23.
why I think we need to reassess that. You think if we put any poll out there, people will say that Prodigy is better than DMX?
Mike, I told you. It's like, well, you're talking to a guy that, like, you know, had everybody running around telling him his whole life that Jay was better than Nas. It's like, how'd that work out? It's like, I don't trust anybody.
I think that was always really
I
debatable.
don't listen to
though.
anything anybody tells me anymore without some hardcore evidence, because here's what people are forgetting about DMX. How dope is that shit outside of those first two albums, Mike? Respectfully, for as much as I love a man. How dope is it outside of two dope albums? Because it's scattered after those first two albums. And Mike,
So
I
you're
just want to
saying
bring
that-
it to you. There are people like you that's not even a big fan of the second album like that. He's only got one sure shotter.
That one short
Prodigy
shot
got the
is very
infamous-
impressive.
Murder Music and Hell on Earth, and he may Keep It Thorough, Quiet Storm, the verse of Shook Ones Part 2. Yeah, I have Prodigy over DMX. The catalog say so, Mike.
Do you want to do a DMX Mobb Deep versus? So you sound
I
very
do.
confident in that.
I do.
I would
And
love to
love
take
X,
DMX's catalog and
Mike.
do a Patreon
You
for
don't
that.
want to, Mike, you do not want DMX to catch that body. I'm telling you now. You don't
Really?
have enough heat for me.
Wow. Okay.
Mike, I'm just going to run this down for you right quick, and I want you to just tell me the 5 records you got that's fucking with me. I got Shook Ones Part 2. I got Quiet Storm. I got Hell on Earth. I got Survival of the Fittest. I got Give Up the Goods. What do you got after Stop Being Greedy
I'll
and Get
save
At
it
Me,
for the
dog?
Patreon.
Stop Being Greedy and Get At Me, dog. But after that, Mike, I'm about to have fun with your ass. Like, I'm telling you, don't do
Rough
it.
Riders
I love
Anthem.
X.
How's
Mike,
it going down? You got some
Mike.
stuff.
Mike,
Niggas
play
that
How's It
started
Going
something?
Down. Mike, play How's It Going Down and watch me play Burn and burn your ass.
Okay.
Right.
Chris with the
Right.
super chat says,
Go on.
guys, I'm from New Orleans and 48 years old. His solo album or not, better than BG or Juvenile discography wise. I'm sorry. He says, guys, I'm from Louisiana, New Orleans, Louisiana, and 48 years old. His solo albums are not better. I guess he's talking about Wayne. His solo albums are not better than BG, Juvenile's discography wise.
See?
That was the knock too, man. When it came to Wayne, it was like, does he have an album that's clear cut better than 400 Degrees?
That's valid. Is the Carter 2 better than 400 Degrees?
I don't think so.
I don't think so
I
either,
don't-
Mike.
yeah.
And I can't front. I'm partial to Chopper City in the Ghetto. I love that project.
That shit was hard. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, I love Wayne, but he lacks range. Usually just a bunch of words that rhyme and no concepts. No protein, no nutrients, and a lot of empty calorie bars. I think that we got to talk about Wayne, man. So the people
Okay, let's do Wayne and then let's get out of here.
All right. Uncle
All
Fam
right,
in the
so
super
Wayne.
chat says.
So Wayne.
Go ahead.
Now Wayne was at 14.
Whew. Where you want to start him at? The top?
I mean, I think it's pretty safe. Is it safe to say, like,
Let's start him where
Freddie
Ross
Ga-
is.
huh?
No. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I mean, I think he's gonna beat Freddie Game and Guru pretty easily.
Okay,
Don't you?
I think so.
So I would start with Eminem at 35.
Okay,
Impact, Wayne or M?
Wayne.
Live performance,
Wayne.
lyrics.
Huh.
I think that's M.
I'm gonna go in because of the questionable pen stuff out there.
And the fact that even though M does say a lot of things that you may not be able to relate to, they are coherent.
And he's a great storytelling MC, so that.
Well, I was
kinda
actually
gives
about
you
to
the
say
list.
storytelling is the next thing, Mike, and that's definitely
Oh, that's
Eminem.
definitely Eminem.
Classic albums, I'll give that to Wayne.
Okay.
Because Wayne's got the Hot Boys stuff, and Wayne's made
Sure.
contributions to other classic shit like that, too. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
Classic songs is Wayne, too.
Yep.
Longevity of albums,
That's Wayne.
longevity of songs,
That's Wayne.
classic collaborations.
That's Wayne.
He won that.
Yeah.
It's over. Rick Ross, Impact. That's Wayne.
Oh yeah.
Live performance, because part of Ross's comeuppance is getting on Wayne's records.
Right.
Hate the break, you know what I mean?
No, that's
Reality.
real.
Like I'm gonna tell you when I started respecting Ross as an MC, it's like when he did Accident Murderers with Nas, and he did John with Wayne. I'm like, oh, okay.
Nah, for me it was all the stuff with Jay, man. He had done a lot of stuff with Jay at that point.
Ain't nobody. Mike Dope Boy anthems are easy to come by, but whatever. It is. I'm sorry. Like all them Jeezy, Ross, and Jay records, it's like they all sound the same. to me.
The
It's all
Devil
same
is a Lie is epic.
I like it, Mike, but I don't love it. And
That
to be honest
song's
with you,
great.
like The Devil is a Lie, that's not something he would play in his verses. So it's not
He
like
got
it's
so
like
much
that.
stuff. But yeah, go ahead.
Impact Wayne, live performance Wayne,
Mm-hmm.
lyrics Wayne,
Yeah.
storytelling might be Ross.
Mm-hmm.
Classic albums,
That's Wayne.
okay. Songs, classic songs. I think that might be Ross.
That might be Ross.
I think that's Ross. Longevity of albums,
That might be Ross.
I think so. Longevity of songs, that's Wayne.
Yeah.
Classic collaborations.
That's Wayne. Not many people are gonna beat Wayne in that, and Ross has great classic collaboration.
He does.
Yeah.
Yep, that's enough for Wayne to move on. He's past Ross.
Okay.
J. Cole, Impact,
Wayne.
live performance.
That might be Cole.
I've seen Wayne live, and I thought he gave an excellent
I've
show.
seen
actually.
Wayne live too. He was great.
I would like to call that a tie. I've heard great things about Cole's performance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cool with tying that.
I've just never seen Cole go out there with anybody but himself, and he holds everything down, song for song.
I watched
It's
Wayne
pretty
do
good.
that down here, and the only person he bought out was T.I.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I think Wayne can do the same thing.
Okay, we can tie it.
And not joking. Part of why I thought about Wayne can skateboard now. He be skateboarding on stage and shit. Like he'll do a stage set where he has a skateboard and a skateboard ramp set up, and he will skate. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's performance. That is performance arts. But I'll call it a tie. Lyrics, Cole.
That goes Cole, yeah.
Storytelling, Cole. Classic albums, Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
Classic songs, Wayne.
Yeah.
Longevity of albums, Wayne.
Yeah.
Longevity of songs, Wayne.
Yeah.
Classic collaborations, Wayne.
Yeah.
Moving on. Oh, gonna love this. Pusha T and Lil Wayne, Mike.
Yeah.
Impact,
Wayne.
live performance,
Wayne.
As somebody that's seen them both, I feel like that might be a tie too. I was super impressed with Pusha T,
Okay.
but because of Wayne's stadium flow, as in him being the bigger artist, I think he's had more of an opportunity to grow as more of a live performance. So I'm cool with Wayne being the live performer too. But Pusha T did an excellent job when I saw him. Excellent. Held it down all by himself. No hype man, no breaks, just a fucking bottle of water and got busy nonstop. It was pretty impressive. Like his breath control, his vocals from beginning to end, he was there. Lyrics is Pusha.
Yep.
Storytelling,
That's Pusha.
barely. Neither one of them really tell stories. Classic albums,
Because he got the clip stuff in there too. I'm going to go Pusha, man.
I think Hell Hath No Fury and Daytona are better than anything Wayne's ever made.
I think so too.
Push. Long classic songs, that's Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
Longevity of albums,
That might be
that
Wayne.
might be a tie. Huh. Give that. What do you think? I think that's an
I
interesting
think that might be
conversation between
Wayne,
them
man.
two.
Because, you know, people go back to all of Wayne. I mean, not all of Wayne's albums, but many of the notable ones. Not to mention, I mean, their projects, but Dedication 2 is still an issue. Like, you know what I mean?
So are the Re-Up Gang mixtapes, Mike. So is Grinding.
But not like Dedication 2 and
Yeah, people wax poetic about Dedication like it's the greatest shit ever made. It's not, but okay, we'll give that to Wayne. Longevity of songs.
What happened?
Because
to
here's
that?
the thing, Pusha T is the co-author of Grinding. What epic single does Wayne have that belongs to him or he's co-author of that goes back that far? Because he's just the drop it like it's hot in the bling bling part of the song. Those ain't his songs. What's his first epic record? Because I think it might be Go DJ. And that's definitely years after Grinding.
Yeah, I think so. Go DJ is 2004, I believe.
Yeah, Grind. Yeah. So
Grind
I would
is
actually tell you
2002.
longevity of songs might actually be Push.
Yeah.
Like his songs.
But yeah, he's a part of. He's in the Hot Boys, though. I mean, he's on Bling Bling, but I got you.
I mean, but whose song is that though, Mike?
BG.
Okay.
Yeah.
Back That Ass Up is whose song?
Juve.
Right. So I mean, that's like that. That's that Method Man thing. It's like you get points for contributing, but that guy is literally sliding on Grinding.
Yeah.
Classic collaborations.
That's Wayne.
Career longevity.
That's got to be Wayne.
How so? Pusha
He's
hasn't
been
taken
here
any
since
breaks. Wayne took a-
97.
Okay, so clips pulled up shortly thereafter, Mike. And Pusha stayed more active. When's the last Wayne album, Mike?
He actually has stayed more active.
When's the last Wayne album, Mike?
When is the last Wayne album? It's been a minute.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Mike. What about the legal troubles with Baby that kept him tied up for a few years and all we got was a fucking album with 2 Chainz and some verses?
I think the last one was the Carter 5. And I feel
What
like
year
that was like.
Mike? I think my daughter was still in elementary
I
school.
feel like that was like 2019, I believe.
Was it?
I think so. Hold on. Or was it 18? Let's see. The Carter 5. It might have been. Shit, it might have been 17.
That's what I'm saying, Mike.
That
It's
was
been a minute.
18. It was 18.
So he hasn't made an album in 5 years, Mike.
And I feel like a lot of that stuff on the Carter 5 is old, too.
I mean, and not being funny, Mike, that ain't the first time he went through a gap like this recently. He's
Yeah.
actually had some very, very long gaps. So his longevity the quality of it belongs to Push, and so does the longevity. Because
But Daytona was 18, but luckily it's almost dry last year, so.
and we got,
And that was the first
constant
time he
mix.
really took a break like that, too. Because he had a lot going on in real life, so.
Yeah, so that's actually Push.
Yeah, that's Push.
Voice. Hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4.
You there? Uncle Fran with the super chat says, guys, would Nas be the same if he loses the battle? We'll never know. Go ahead.
We don't do that woulda, shoulda, coulda, though, huh? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm gonna give Wayne the edge for voice. I think you are too.
I'm going to push it for the voice. Oh.
You
I
sure,
think
Mike?
Wayne has a
Because
very
there's a
unique
reason,
voice.
Mike. Because this is where those contributions, you realize where Wayne's voice does make a mark. It's
Yeah,
like,
you're
no,
right. Because
that's
even
the
in
voice
the
on
hook
Bling
game,
Bling. That's the
yeah.
voice on Drop It Like It's Hot for a reason, Mike.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of his voice, but yeah, his voice is unique, and he does add that. Like even when you look at Duffel Bag Boys and stuff like that, like you can't
Yeah.
pull that off without that voice.
Right. You know how I feel about Push, though. It's like we got to be objective. Mike,
You know what? My favorite hook, one of my favorite hooks, period, is from Wayne, and that's Red Nation from The Game. That hook is crazy. Throwing blood in the air, leave blood on the ground. Only Wayne could do that one.
Only Wayne.
Yeah,
So Big Boy's up next, Mike. Impact.
that's Wayne, and I love Big Boy, but
Live performance is Big Boy, though.
yeah, I agree with that.
Lyrics, Big Boy.
Yeah,
Storytelling, Big Boy.
yeah,
Classic albums, Big Boy.
okay.
Classic songs. I get at the Wayne.
Yeah,
Longevity of albums.
well,
Wayne, say less, Mike. I seen the shady look on your face. We're just gonna put Wayne down so you don't say nothing shady about
Yeah.
Andre's output.
yeah, that's
Be like,
fine.
well, if you had a group member that wanted to collaborate with him and keep working, they'd have more product. I got you, Mike.
Yeah.
Say less. Longevity of songs.
I think Big Boy gets that.
Are you sure? What Outkast records are still getting spun? I'm just saying that respectfully.
Spodioti.
Spody.
I mean, I
That's
guess
not enough to complete with. See how we have to think
Yeah.
about it? Because Wayne's still getting a line.
because I'm just trying to decipher what I play from what everybody else is probably playing. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Everybody else plays Wayne stuff more than they play Outkast
Okay.
stuff, unfortunately. And some of that does have to do with our conversations about things that have unfolded with the group in terms of, people working and like their classic collaborations.
That's Wayne.
Just hard to beat Wayne at that. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Career longevity quality.
I'm still gonna have to go Wayne on that.
And that's where he would win. I would tell you if it would get to the voice, he would be in trouble because I would give Big Boy the edge in voice.
Yeah, Big Boy gets
That's-
the voice.
But that's Wayne. Redman. He's at 30, by the way. We had him
Redman.
at 14. Redman. Impact.
That's Wayne.
Live performance. It's red.
That's Red Man.
Lyrics is red.
Yeah.
Storytelling's red.
Yep.
Classic albums red.
Yeah.
Classic songs Wayne.
Yeah.
Longevity of albums.
That might go Wayne.
I think it's the same thing with the songs. That's Wayne too.
Yeah.
Classic collaborations is Wayne. Career longevity quality is Wayne too. So he's not winning these easy, but he is winning these towards the end because he just
Right.
passed Redman too.
Mm.
Q-Tip. Impact. Wayne.
That's Wayne.
Live performance.
I think that's Q-Tip.
I do too. Lyrics. That's Wayne.
Okay.
Storytelling. That's Q-Tip.
Mm-hmm.
Classic albums. Q-Tip.
Yep.
Classic songs. Ooh.
That's Q-Tip.
Are you sure?
You know what? Yeah, that's what I say. You know what I mean? It's like,
That might be a tie.
I'm okay with that, but I think that the longevity of songs, that's definitely Q-Tip.
That's why I was saying this is a tie, because I think the longevity of albums is Q-Tip,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the longevity of songs is Q-Tip.
Yeah.
But here's what I'll tell you, Mike. I still think he's about to lose, because I don't think he's going to win any of these next few. Classic collaborations, that's Wayne.
That's Wayne.
Career longevity quality is Wayne. Hold on.
The voice is Q-Tip.
So we would have Wayne at 30, because Q-Tip just beat him.
Wow. I didn't think he was going to go down that far. Well, interesting. Let me get to these super chats and we'll get up out of here, man. It's almost 9 o'clock. CJ Kid with a super chat says, you're taking everything into consideration for an MC, correct? And just bar work, and not just bar work, when comparing P to other MCs. Of course, yeah, we're going to get to P on Friday. Michael Williams with the super chat says, which group of storytelling songs is better? Somebody's got to die, niggas bleed, and I got a story to tell, or I gave you power, the setup, and shootouts. I think
Hey,
Nas
Mike, let
is
me
just
ask
the
you
superior
something.
storyteller.
Let me just ask you something real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Eminem's a better lyricist than Prodigy?
I don't.
I don't see the only guys that are on the back end, the only people that are below Prodigy right now that I know are better MCs as far as like their bar work is Thought, Kiss, Kane, and G-Rap, and maybe Kendrick. He's lyrically better than everybody below him outside of those guys. And his impact and his quality, like how about this? I bet you I'm more worried about, yeah,
We'll
put
get
Prodigy
to
in the
it.
mix. Yeah.
Darius Campbell, the super chat
I'll
says,
do
Mike,
that.
you don't want to do that, bro. I think he's talking about the DMX Mobb Deep thing.
I'm trying to tell you, Mike, you really don't want to do it. You
36
don't really want
Chambers.
to do it, Mike.
36 Chambers of the super chat says, old heads say Wayne isn't that dude, but Wayne is up there. Yes, his bars are abstract, but those abstract punchlines hit. Not having Wayne in the top 20 is blasphemous. Impact is huge. Wayne is pivotal for age 30. Okay. Let's see, and we can explore what we just did with this Q-tip
Here's
thing again
here's
on
some
Friday.
things people need to keep in mind about how we're rating things. If for some reason you didn't work, that gets held against you. He hasn't worked a lot. Some of it's been personal, some of it's been professional. But I hate to be the one to break it to you. That whole work like Wayne thing, that was a whole generation ago. You don't, like, you know what I'm saying? We just got to keep it 100 and funky about it. It's like, it ain't.
Jay Short with the super chat says, I look at Wayne's career like Method. Tremendous talent, but underachieved on solo work. Neither ever made that undisputable classic that they should have. I think that's fair. And Jonathan with the super chat says, Nas and Hit Boy album will be fire. Hit got bars. He does. All right, well, we're going to talk about Hit Boy's album Friday. I think that's a perfect wrap up. We'll go ahead and get up out of here. Great show, Coop. Great talking to the people.
All the time.
Be
blessed. Be good.
Yep.